Welcome to the Ani-TAY Podcast. It's now recording on the Saturday, 29th of March, and I'm Fruity, your host, and I've got the guest today here. We have, on the main cast, we have Dex, which is also known as David.
Hey.
We've also got Rockman Dash, number 12, who's also known as Kevin. We have Richard on our cast. I can't believe it.
Yes, I am here. I am Richard.
Mr. Richard Eisenbeis.
I am the anime guy from Kotaku. That's who I am.
Yeah, how do you pronounce the last name? Sorry, I never
Eisenbeis.
That.
I was right.
Yep.
And then our special guest for this week, we have George, also known as Aestevalis. That took many times. Anyway, and so this podcast will be going to be discussing animes that we've been watching this season, and we've narrowed our choices down to 4, which was a long process.
Oh, yes.
With a pseudo race where we pushed spacebar a lot of time.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was an interesting way of doing it, yes.
Well, it was that we used my old method when I used to try to decide what anime made an award last year, which is put a smiley face and a sad face. And I was like, then we do the next round. Does it get a second smiley face? Yeah, probably not. But anyway, and we'll also be discussing what we might be watching next season, and maybe what we used to get a lot of hype from previous and past series, and then we're just a bit of a dud and disappointment. Right? We've all experienced that after a lot of animes. I mean, it's almost too common to have quite a disappointing series, but that's just the medium in general, I guess.
Yep.
All entertainment medium.
Sure.
Yep.
All right, and
before we get around to that, we should go around and have everybody introduce themselves properly.
Yeah. So you first, David, since you want to bring it up.
All right. Well, as Ken over there just said, I'm David. I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm a member of the brilliant nation of the United States. Take that as you will.
Freedom.
So,
what about that freedom?
Freedom and
football.
Freedom and football.
That football.
American football, please. Let's get this.
Yes. We know Ken. Anyway, I'm a hobby writer on Ani-TAY. You've probably seen something I've posted at one time or another, and then promptly ignored it. I don't know what else to say. I mean,
how long have you been watching?
Okay, yeah. I mean, I watched a lot of anime. Like, I'm from the Toonami generation. I got a lot of that in back in the day. Got my first taste of it with the Gundam Wing reruns in the early 2000s. I kind of dropped off the radar in like 2008 and kind of left behind the whole medium, but I'm back because I just couldn't stay away because I don't know.
It does that to all of us, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, with that sort of record, you've got to have some form of a top 3 personal anime. Let's just put it for the record here, guys. This is not what we condone as the best 3. This is David's personal top 3.
Mm-hmm. Just mine. The rest of these schmucks, they aren't. No. Anyway. So I've got to do the obligatory Evangelion reference because it's Evangelion. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, saw that one coming.
No comment.
I also really enjoyed Code Geass. I think that's up there in the top 3.
Woo!
I did like that one. I watched that just recently. And another recent one, Spice and Wolf. I enjoyed that one a lot.
I'm
still watching that.
Kind of weird how you stop watching when you stop watching anime. That's the sort of time when those series came out. When I think about it.
Yes.
08, 09? Actually, yeah. You kind of dropped
a lot of good stuff while I was gone. That was the problem.
Maybe. Anyway. Oh, what about you then, Kevin? Do you want to do a quick introduction for yourself?
Okay, so I'm Kevin Mai. I go by Rockman Dash 12. I live in Sacramento, California, in the U.S. I'm a high school junior. I'm 16 years old, and I write reviews on Tay. And my reviews kind of rushed. Like, if you ever click on it immediately, you'll see that I'm busy fixing it as I go. So yeah, wait about an hour after I post anything, and it'll be significantly better. I've been watching anime as long as I can really remember. Like, when I was a kid, I used to watch like them after school and stuff. So I really don't know like any specifics at the time, but then I got back into it when FMA came out. And last year I really got onto anime, started watching seasonal and stuff like that. So yeah.
And what would you say your top 3 would be then?
Code Geass is my absolutely number one favorite of everything I've ever seen.
Oh, comrades.
Steins Gate is number 2 because it's glorious.
Uh-huh.
And number 3 is Quanad just because of what it did to my emotions and how it affected my life and how I just enjoyed it a lot.
I assume that would cover both Clannad and Clannad After Story. Yes, of course. All right, and I'm sure this person needs no introduction, but we'll have it anyway. Richard, do you care to take the
Sure. Time? Yeah, I'm Richard Eisenbeis. I work for Kotaku. I am the anime and Japanese import gaming kind of guy. That's my niche. I live in Tokyo, Japan. I have been watching anime since 1996. I never really sat down and thought about like when I started, but yeah. If as long as you don't include the stuff that I watched when I was a little kid in the 80s that I had no idea was anime at the time, the first real anime I watched was Lodoss War back in 1996. Let's see. So yeah, I've been watching for, we're getting close to 20 years now. Yeah, 18 years about. Yeah, we're getting close.
Yeah.
So
with that sort of time, you've got to have a good insight on your top 3. I'm actually so interested. 1996.
It's really hard
to
put together.
It's a big,
and I really kind of don't like it. And I want to stress, these are not the best anime. These are the ones that they touched me in some way that really that made me really like it. That makes me enjoy it. There's some that I think are very good, but I really don't enjoy.
We know that feeling.
It's the difference between something that is good and something that is entertaining, and how which you prefer at which moment. But first off, I would definitely say Evangelion, especially the end of Evangelion.
Oh gosh,
everyone says the same thing.
Easily one of my favorites.
It was. I'll recuse myself.
Yeah, one of the very first movies that I really had to work at to understand.
My mind.
Yeah. Well, and that was one of those things. Like, it taught me that, sometimes you do need to look deeper and you do need to rewatch things to really get the most out of them. And then, so I really enjoyed that. The next one would be Steins Gate.
Steins Gate. Oh.
Yeah, I was legitimately surprised when I watched it, and it was not a hyperbole. It was not an Upworthy headline when I said I thought it was probably the best anime I've ever watched.
I remember when you first wrote that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know people get worried, you're speaking in hyperbole or you're just trying to get hits. Never have I done that. If I say something, I do mean it with 100% truth.
Yeah, clickbait is what Tay writers do.
You'll never believe that. No. But and as for the third one, this one's really tough. And I'm tempted to do I go back to something early 90s that nobody's watched but me, or do I go to something recent? And so I'm gonna cheat. If I was gonna say recent, it would probably be Kill la Kill. But since we're probably gonna talk a little bit about Kill la Kill, I'll instead say I'll go with my classic pick, which would be the irresponsible Captain Tyler.
Everybody is searching that right now.
Yeah, I was just I'm not aware of this.
Do you not know this one? It's about a guy who's a total slacker who joins the army so that he can have a pension, or the Space Navy so he can have a pension, and just sit on his butt on a desk job. And then he accidentally becomes captain of the worst ship in the fleet and wins unwinnable victory after unwinnable victory by total accident or by brilliant genius. And you never know which.
And everybody's going to watch that.
Yep.
Absolutely. It's going to be... it sounds something like I should keep an eye out for.
It's one of the very few that I would ever suggest anybody watch dubbed. Crispin Freeman is the main character. He plays Tyler, but this is Crispin Freeman before he was dark, moody Crispin Freeman. This is silly Crispin Freeman, and boy, is it a lot of fun. Okay.
I got.
Very good choices, I have to admit.
Interesting
Now,
choices.
I think I should introduce myself at this stage as well. So I guess people know me as FruityDrinks or Fruity. I'm lazy like that. I'm Ken. I'm from the United Kingdom, so this is why I was earlier correcting my good friend David here. That's called American football, not football. It's just silly.
Freedom!
And I guess I'm probably the most sporadic poster on Tay when it comes to anime. I guess a post rate of what? Maybe a article every 2 months? Yeah, sounds about right.
It's worth noting that he's the one who brought this all together, so give him credit for that.
Yes, I guess I'm more active everywhere else than I am when it comes to writing. And I guess I got into anime, I think when I truly think about it, must be when when I was a kid, when I was watching stuff like Pokemon, Digimon and stuff, and Dragon Ball Z. I guess when my friend introduced me to Naruto, sadly, I got in through that way, and that's my entry in anime, and just spiraled out of control there, which is why I pick up 20, 30 shows every season. And it doesn't help when you've been watching Naruto and stuff like in 20 series every season that I can't find top 3, but they are Sun in the Sky, Sora no Woto. There's Horizon in the Middle of Nowhere, quite recent, and finally, the series that always keeps changing its name for no reason, because every anime website keeps changing it, is C, The Money of Soul and Possibility, Control.
I applaud anybody who knew those shows before you searched it up.
I would fight tooth and nail about every one of those series because they simply are one of the best shows I've ever seen, and I just can't stress it enough about how I love those series. But enough about me. How about our special guest of this week, guys? Let's get to George. George?
Hey guys, I'll go by Aestevalis, but you can call me George. I live in Mexico City, in Mexico. I write the Anime No One Watched series and some anime poll related stuff. Maybe I'll do Richard to do a guest review for the Anime No One Watched series, or the responsible Captain Tyler. I've been watching anime since, I don't know, maybe like 15 or 17 years by now. Since when I was a kid, anime was very popular in my country, so I got into that very early, and I just didn't stop. As for my personal top 3 anime, mine are a little weird.
We all are a little weird.
Say that. You're the guys who share the common ones. I don't. Sorry, go on, George. Sorry.
The first one is Full Metal Panic.
Gotta love it.
My favorite.
It's fun.
Very good Kyoto animation show. Yes.
Yeah. The second one is a comedy that I really, really like. That brings really sad and good memories. It's Skull Rumble.
School Rumble.
Oh, how you paid me so, School Rumble.
and the third one is a baseball one, since I love baseball. It's called Cross Game.
Haven't heard of it.
Again, are we all Googling all of a sudden? Are we all doing the same thing?
Baseball. I'm a baseball fan, so maybe I'll pick it up.
But it's let's say that baseball is the weakest aspect of the anime, but the slice of life part of the show is really one of the most brilliant that you will ever see.
So it's like an Adachi story, like H2 or Touch.
It's actually an Adachi manga.
Is it really? Which one is it?
Yeah.
What was it again?
Cross Game.
Oh,
Cross
yeah.
Game.
It's the newer one. Yeah, absolutely.
No, the newer one is question and answer.
Oh, that's it. See, look at me already getting confused with Adachi.
Cross Game, and go watch the first episode. It's really, really good.
Adachi's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right.
So there's
all of us introduced.
That's the group.
And then, so now you know our terrible credentials, apart from Richard, obviously, since he's the one who gets a paycheck out of this at the end of the day. Anyway, so how have you been enjoying this season, everyone?
It's been uneven.
Endings are hard. That's all I have to say. Is endings seem to be really hard.
Yes, there's a lot of that going around.
Yeah.
We'll get into that though.
Yeah. Anyway, well then,
Even shows like Golden Time had a problem with their ending.
No, yeah, we'll get to that. Jeez.
Yeah, we'll get to that clearly. So speaking of the season anyway, let's talk about I think one of the bigger shows. Well, that carried over from last season anyway. And since it ended this season, we'll consider it this season anyway to talk about. It's Log Horizon. Yeah. So anyway, since Richard and David put their post up, do you want to emphasize or reiterate any of your thoughts before we comment?
If I had to describe Log Horizon pretty short and succinctly, I'd say that it was a consistently good show, but it didn't really get to great ever. That's how I'd describe it.
It did what it did. How do I put it? It did what it set out to do.
Yes.
And that's actually, and that if that sounds like a backhanded compliment or something, it's not, because very, very many shows do not succeed at what they set out to do.
Yes, I can agree with that on many levels.
Right, but Log Horizon, what it did is it said, let's really look at the idea of what it would be like if a whole bunch of people were suddenly trapped in this fantasy video game world. What
would society look like?
Right. Let's look at the implications. Let's take this step by step and see how this would impact. And it's interesting because it's about building a society from the ground up. There are the very rules of the world, of reality, are different, and
how you get people to follow the rules.
Right.
How leaders have to kind of dangle hope in front of people in order to get them to do what they want.
Mm-hmm. And it also has one of my favorite things where really the main character is a tyrannical dictator, and it's fantastic.
Yes.
Now he's a benevolent tyrannical dictator, but he's still a tyrannical dictator.
He's like a really tame Lelouch in a way.
Yeah.
Kind of an anti-hero in a lot of ways.
Do not dismiss the show because it might seem like an SAO clone.
Yes.
Really, just don't. It's nothing like it, and it's all about character development, and it does it pretty good. So I have lots of things to say about Log Horizon. It's like everybody will assume that it's an SAO clone or even a .hack clone, but it's really just something totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
every show is a clone of every other show. Right.
In my Log Horizon review, I did point out that Log Horizon takes a look at the things that I wanted to see in Sword Art Online, but Sword Art Online didn't stick to that at all. It didn't talk about the society or anything, despite the fact that that sort of premise has promise.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They're two very different things. Log Horizon is a thought experiment. Sword Art Online is an adventure. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with either of them. They're very different kinds of stories that are just using the same starting point. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with either way.
Yep.
Just to play devil's advocate, so even if they are two different things, Sword Art Online and Log Horizon, what I think, in fairness, that Sword Art Online does really well in the first two episodes is how they address the urgency when the actual realization is where they're stuck in the game. How would you address, let's say, for people who haven't seen Log Horizon, considering people who dropped the series kind of early on, how they didn't feel the urgency where people were trapped in this online world in Log Horizon, they didn't really kind of address it. It was more of a brief bypass when considering, even though we were following Shiro, the character who was always calm and calculating, kind of makes sense how we see it from his point of view. But overall in the community, in the world, it doesn't seem like that sort of urgency was present in the entire show. How would you...
Well, it wasn't really present because you came back to life. That's really the biggest thing that separates these two. It's that in Log Horizon, if you die, you aren't killed. And in SAO, people die when they are killed.
Right. So the battle the battle in Log Horizon isn't, therefore, it's not death driven. It's not we have to beat the game before we all die. It's instead it's we can't die. We like if you kill 3 wolves, you can afford a bed and food. So what the hell's the point of living?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is it's all about him building a society where people find new purposes for themselves. And then with this purpose, everybody starts to live life again. So it's more a battle against existential despair than this action.
The lack of urgency feeds into the whole narrative of the story.
It's the dilemma.
Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I mean it's just that there were a lot of concerns early on. Sorry, George. Yeah.
I actually think Log Horizon is one of those shows that makes you think it's smarter than what really actually is, but it's one of the better at doing exactly that. That's one of the strong points of the show, that it always makes you think that this is really complicated plot, and we have a very interesting society building from the get-go, from scratch. But the economic themes and other things are really quite basic if you look deep into them.
Yeah, it's true enough.
A show like that, I think, can't go too much deep, because then you need a base understanding of either basic economics or basic currency and such like that. I mean, it's the same issue, I think, that in an argument that could be said that Hero and Mariusha, and Spice and Wolf, it could be argued that even if it's not as deep or as complex as what real life economics could be, it still scratches enough to be entertaining in a world.
Yeah, they have to tread that horrible line where you have to be entry level, or you're going to deny like the vast majority of the audience. And let's be serious, anime is a business.
Yes.
Yeah. And you want people to watch.
Or else we wouldn't have as much plot.
And if you didn't see those air quotes, look for them. They're there.
Plot.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you do try to attempt such a deep, complex level of understanding of either of these, topics, it can get really messy for either the story and the show itself, really. So, I mean, there are a few shows that I know that come to mind that do get a bit funny on that when they try to finish their story when using the economics as a theme, especially one of the series I said, actually, which is the Money of Soul Possibility Control. So hey. But yeah, I think the series is quite great. I think the fact that it's quite slow paced really helped build the world. And even though it I think both you and Richard say it kind of tat us off near the end, it's a bit weird how all of a sudden, did anyone see this coming? How out of nowhere, there was a harem, just the pseudo harem. I was just nearly there. We're about to, cross the line, and it was like, nah.
Even on my review, people were calling me out for saying, but the light novels did this or whatnot, and I'm like, but it still doesn't fit that.
Well, and that's the thing. That's the worst excuse that anyone can ever make.
It is.
Like they did it because no. That is an excuse. You see, an excuse doesn't make it okay. It means there was a reason, but just because there was a reason doesn't mean that suddenly it's forgivable.
That doesn't mean that you can call us reviewers out on saying that it was bad.
Yeah, it's bad because it's bad. It's not bad because it's they
have the ability to write. They could use it.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, I'm okay, I guess, with the love triangle.
Is that a square now?
But making it the square is a little much.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think. Let's be honest here. I think a lot of us are just going with Henrietta because, she actually seems the same age.
I forgot about Henrietta. Oh, whoops.
I gotta admit, I gotta stay in that camp because the other two are kind of putting me into squick territory.
Well, Akatsuki's in her late 20s. We know that.
Yeah, but there's just. Still feels wrong in a way. It's just by looks.
Oh, I was referring for the third member. Was the latest character that we were showing at the end. The one who's kind of nutty. Yeah.
What was her name? Yeah.
The big bad. Yes.
Yeah. The future big bad, as it were.
But
yeah. So.
Well, she certainly has a sort of a yandere tendency. We'll give her that.
If she was true yandere, people would be dead by now in that show, right?
Oh,
I mean,
she's
considering considering her position in the game, it seems, where she was able to control, well, what seems to be, was it the west side of the west part?
Yeah, the Western Kingdoms. She
Yeah, I
controls
would have said
Osaka. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, so if she was Yandere, I would say something would have got out of hand much before episode 24.
Well, we still have a whole second season to see if that happens.
Yes.
And she did kind of conquer half of Japan.
Yes.
You know, I mean, Shiro only has one small region. He only has Kanto. But Hokkaido and Kyushu and the Western Empire, Osaka, are all different countries. Although Kyushu's probably been conquered by her, probably.
Yeah. Probably. But yeah, we're all looking forward to it, right, for next season? Sure. We're all going to watch it?
And if you don't know if you're watching, they did announce a second season that's coming in the fall. Yeah. I think most of us will be watching that. Mm-hmm. Be good.
Yeah, I'm happy that they're doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It seems a little rushed, but I mean...
Yeah, I mean, I was about to address it, because the actual author of the original source material, he actually addressed that he wasn't exactly too happy that his show was actually being aired on what seemed to be, I think, you might have to help me here, Richard. I think it was a state-owned channel, right?
I think it's supposed to be like the equivalent of PBS in a way.
That's somewhat.
And apparently he wasn't. Yeah,
it's
and he
on
wasn't
NHK educational, which is. But even though it's educational, that they still show sports, they still show things. It is the state-owned, NHK, but it's not quite like PBS. It's a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like PBS only more.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
And so he was the author was saying how he was a little I guess unhappy would be that it was like that it was being aired on that channel and it was like it was saying something like how he wasn't happy on how some of the things I think he was generally okay with the anime, but he was saying like he wasn't. It was a bit like they had to omit some of the things from his source material because of the state channel, and they weren't able to.
I can see it.
Well, but it was aired during prime time, so
it's true enough.
It was gonna have to conform to certain standards no matter what station it was on, just because of the time slot. But anyway, shall we move on?
Yeah, I guess. Unless, does anyone have anything else they want to say about Log Horizon?
No.
That's a no.
We got it all covered.
Okay. Well, how about Golden Time or something like that, yeah?
Golden Time?
I don't know.
Sure.
Let's just go on with Golden Time. Thoughts?
My favorite anime of the season. And it's way better than Toradora.
All right.
Well, Golden Time. I read the first volume of the light novel before the anime aired. So when the first couple of episodes were broadcast, I noticed that one of the most important elements of the series that is the existence of ghost boundary and the supernatural element of the novel was nowhere to be seen. And when they finally decided to show that on the anime, that it was like on episode 8 or 9 or something like that, it felt really forced and unnatural. That and the last scene at the bridge are my complaints with the show, but outside of that, I think that it was one of the best shows of the season, a really charming and enjoyable romantic comedy.
Yeah,
I'm with you, George, on the supernatural thing, because that came so far out of left field for me, and like that was the thing. Like I wanted it to be like, oh yeah, no, it's not really a ghost. It's him remembering it or whatever. Except it's not, because we see that even when he gets his memories back, he doesn't remember Ghost Banry, being Ghost Banry. I mean, and so I was just sitting there like. So what is he? He's a plot device? He's literally a walking plot device. And he's not needed, at all. Like, there was not a single point in the entire show where he was needed.
Exactly.
It was a very odd plot device. I'm with everybody on that one as well. As George has said, it made a little bit of sense in the original source material, because it was actually a pretty major plot device.
Well, wasn't he the narrator? Isn't he the narrator of the whole thing? George?
Was that what it was, George? Yeah.
Yeah, it is actually the first character that it's introduced on the light novel, and it actually serves as some sound of narrator for the story.
Yeah. That like changes the whole idea of its plot device. It makes it central to the series.
Yeah, it becomes a framing device instead of a plot device. Yeah.
Yeah. And in the anime, we get introduced to this character a lot later, really. And it just kind of seems like it's tossed in, not like it's important. And I think that hurts it.
Yeah, a lot.
I think I must be the only one who instantly just... I kind of saw it when I saw Ghost Talibanria. I was thinking to myself, no, they're not doing this. Surely not. And then I just kind of laughed to myself and thinking, no way. And I just thought it might be a brief moment. I'm just clinging as a brief moment, but it wasn't.
I would have been good with it if, like, the Ghost Banry, he was just watching Banry and, you know, maybe commenting on it, narrating, if you will. But when they, like, started fighting over the body, it lost me.
I still can't
what's going on?
I mean, kind of to jump the gun a little bit, but in the last episode, I still can't get my mind over. Did she just hug Ghost Banry?
Yeah, I know.
What's going
on?
It
was so much like that last episode is such a flippin' mess.
What the hell is wrong?
It's like freaking like the word. Like when we got to that last episode, like I was feeling pretty good about the whole series until that episode started.
Yeah.
And then it's suddenly like, oh, I guess we better put like 2 books of information into 1 episode.
Oh crap, we gotta end this, guys.
Yeah, and it was just everything mushed together. Like things just happen so quick. And then the moment when like suddenly he's on the bridge with Ghost Banry and Linda hugs Ghost Banry. I'm like, wait, she can see Ghost Banry? She can talk with... What is going on? What is Coco doing? Like, she still hasn't clearly noticed any of this stuff going on. And I'm just like, did this just get really surreal on me? Like, what happened?
Did we go on a drug trip or something? What? I have to question the validity of most of that entire episode. Maybe it was all just a dream.
Yeah, like it's so out there. That's also what I was thinking. I was like, wait, did he collapse in the middle of the parade?
I was wondering.
And that's it? Like he's in a hospital right now? Because this is so surreal.
Full circle.
Yeah, like, oh. Yeah,
and did I miss it, or did we never hit that reveal that we all were expecting to hit? I know,
right? Like I thought
we were all expecting something.
Like, if you're wondering what we're thinking about is, Banry's accident is he gets knocked off the bridge, right?
Yes.
And he gets knocked off the bridge by a person on a moped, right?
Yeah.
Linda's moped.
Yes.
It's very clearly Linda's moped. She hit him. She knocked him off the bridge. That's why she won't hate him. Gun.
Yeah. We keep seeing this moped everywhere.
Right.
Like you don't even notice it most of the time, but you see it quite a bit.
Yeah. It's and the helmet. Her helmet is the same helmet. Clearly.
Yes, the helmet's the same. It looks like a girl. The memory is all implying this. And what happened in the final episode?
We never bring it up, and that was the thing. Like that's what killed me about it, because I'm like, that's the reason. It's obvious. That's why she won't hook up with him. She's so guilty about it. That's why she doesn't want to hook up with anyone.
That's why she didn't even want him to really know about her, I think.
Right, because what if he remembers that she's the one who ruined his life, obviously. And then we never even mention it.
So much build up for nothing.
Yes, that's actually one of the other difference with novels. Since in the novel, Linda clearly states that she feels guilty because she was late at the bridge, so it was her fault that Banry was hit by the motorcycle.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, but it's so obviously her, and the fact that was like we're all waiting for it. It was so obvious for so long, and then I guess it was so obvious we didn't even need to talk about it. Okay. Shoot. Okay.
They just decided to abandon that plot thread and make Linda nice. I don't know.
It's like, quick, let's abandon that, and we'll hook her up with the blonde-haired dude, I guess, because why not?
They definitely did a lot of, in the final episode, they did a lot of off-screen discussion when they all said, by the way, me and Diana discussed this happened, and it was like, you did? And it's just like, oh, I guess so. And then 2D, well, sorry, not 2D. Well, I guess it's his name actually. I kind of forgot what his real name is, but his nickname's 2D Kid.
No, that's what I call it. Even in Japanese.
Yeah.
2D-kun.
Yeah, and it's like 2D-kun's like also had like, I mean, granted he had at least, you know, a frame where he was discussing it with everyone else, but everyone that had this off-screen discussion about Talibanri's past, it's like, oh, so you're not gonna talk to the guy who was about the, you know, who is central to the whole thing.
And then no other character gets a completed story.
Yeah.
We with what's, I can't remember, Oka. Yeah, Oka.
Yeah, Oka.
What happened with her
off
and the
the
blonde-haired
edge.
dude? Who knows? We decided to give up on that story. And like you said, since we can't even be sure, I can't even be sure Linda was on that damn bridge.
Yeah.
So she didn't get a resolution either, because there's no way of knowing if she was real or not, or if this was all in his crazy delusion.
Or if Coco is even back. Who knows? Who knows?
I mean, I'm sure that we're supposed to take that as reality. But I'm not sure if we're supposed to take Linda on the bridge as reality.
Judging from just how odd the whole episode was, sometimes you gotta wonder.
Yeah, no, I think it's
ended better than Toradora, though.
Yeah, to an extent.
Yeah, so, but
I mean,
I guess we're ragging on the final episode because it just drops the ball so hard.
I mean, probably, I think it must be the worst case of Deus Ex Machina in a romance series anyway, since, you know, considering, like, I think parties, a lot of people weren't happy about, was it Kyoko and Kanata, about their Deus Ex Machina of their ending. I think this was just, you know, kind of tops already of all the like romance themed Deus Ex Machina endings, because it just beyond beggars belief how anything happens in that show. I mean, at first I used to thought that Ghost Tadabanri was just a terrible character. Like, maybe personally I just didn't like him. He was a bit of an asshole in my opinion.
He was a total
but like, I didn't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but I didn't realize he's gonna be an asshole to the entire series as well. I didn't see that coming at all. It's like, oh, you're gonna just, okay then, you're gonna do that.
Well, and the funny thing is, like, how Ghost Banri acts and how Banri, when he gets his memories back, acts, they're not even close to the same. They're way different characters.
The Ghost Banner seems really moody, dark, sad. You know, all the stereotypes of high schoolers.
Right.
And
real memory back Banri is kind of like, oh, I don't remember these people, but they were kind of important to me, so they're probably good people. Like, it's like, wait, are you the same people?
He's just kind of indifferent. That's what he is.
What's the worst part is when we think about Ghost Banry, because he's technically past Banry, but every flashback we have of Linda and Banry together, I don't know how those two like personalities are the same.
No, yeah. Even Ghost Banry and past Banry don't feel like they're the same.
Yeah,
there's a lot of dissonance going on. There is.
I mean, there's an argument to be said that, you know, once you get hit off a bridge from a moped, maybe you would be a little bit pissed. But even then, you know, you would have thought he would treat the people he does know, i.e. Linda, like a decent guy. But no, he's just a bit of an asshole to everyone in general. It's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why are you such an asshole? Everyone's so nice in the show.
But I feel okay. I think we've ragged enough on the ending, because I think that you have to understand is why we're ragging on the ending so much and Ghost Banry so much is because everything except those two things was really enjoyable.
Yes. Yeah. There was a lot of good moments out of that series. There was a lot of heartwarming moments, you know, all that sort of stuff. And it makes the ending and all that stuff just feel so much worse.
Yeah.
Just because it was so good.
Well, it's good because basically you have flawed characters that are trying their best.
Yeah.
That's always good. Like, there's no evil villain, except for Ghost Boundary, trying to mess things up. You know, it really is like they're trying their best, but their worst enemies are themselves.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Bonri dealing with his past. It's Coco dealing with the fact that she's yandere. You know, she has to. You know, they're trying to get past their things to have their first adult relationship. Yeah. And it's good to watch because, while of course we get over dramatic at times, it makes sense with the characters.
Mm-hmm.
It's never overblown.
Especially the comic relief, I feel. A lot of the comic relief in that show felt really natural. And
Coco's dad.
I love that character type. The rich character who enjoys the most simplest of things in life.
Make me some ramen! Yeah.
But it felt so natural. It just integrated really well with the show. I think without that comic relief, I think that show might have suffered quite heavily with it. Thank God it had that sort of personality.
No way it could have been.
It was not necessarily an amazing show when it came to the drama, but it definitely had a lot of good comedy.
Yeah.
I think the first, in fairness though, the first 12 episodes was really solid as a romance anime.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's when, I think that is the hit point of Ghost Boundary, but even then though, it's in particular it might have like a cameo appearance in episode 6.
Yeah,
but
didn't Ghost Boundary come around at the end of the first core?
He was
around.
Promise.
Yeah, wait, or do you mean when he started being like, I'm going to ruin your
when he
life?
started.
That was at the end of the first.
What an interesting coincidence that those two elements collide. Anyway,
it's a really good story of these, of almost what would be, I guess, a university drama of students. That is anyway. It felt really a romance.
Sure.
Not too out of the crazy way that anime likes to do when it likes to dramatize romance.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a different sort of series, and I liked it for that. Slightly different style of slice and life than I've seen recently.
Oh, I do love my good slice of life. But we all enjoyed Golden Time in the end, right? Even past the few bumps in the road, I think Golden Time in the end was an enjoyable show.
Past those two elements that we ragged on endlessly, it was a good series, possibly even great in my opinion. I still haven't quite sorted my head out, but
it's certainly worth a watch. I'll definitely say that much. If nothing,
I would recommend it. It is definitely one of the best ones out of this season. Give it that.
All right.
Was it the one you picked up halfway through, Kevin? Just I think
it was one of the few I picked up halfway through. So,
okay, yeah. But so you must have had a good. Since you got the first 12 in one go, you must have had quite a good enjoyment of it as well.
Oh, it was awesome. Seriously. Yeah, marathoning shows is the way to do it.
Yeah. We all have our own ways.
No. Hey, if I had the choice, I would marathon everything. But I don't. So.
Have the anime marathon if I didn't like doing that.
True.
Although
anyway.
I have been missing.
Well, that's an argument for another time and another place.
Yes.
So let's talk about one of the most hyped shows from last season that carried over to this season. It's Kill. We couldn't avoid it. It's just everywhere, right? I mean, love it or hate it, I think it's something we have to talk about, and we all watched it more or less.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think the reason why everybody watched it was because of Studio Trigger, not because of the show itself, but because of the people who made it. I mean, I'm sure everybody was expecting Tekken Top and Gurren Lagann as they were entering it.
Mm-hmm.
In an argument, just for argument's sake, anyway. I mean, when you think of Tekken Top and Gurren Lagann, anyway, you almost did essentially get that sort of show. I mean, it's not like they failed on that sort of expectation, but I think people were thinking much else. I think they were expecting what seemed to be the messiah of anime. But I think from the sound of it, where you stand, Kevin, you're not the biggest fan of Kill la Kill. Am I right?
Well, I enjoyed it. I don't have many gripes with it, but I'm not overhyped and I'm not the biggest fan of it. I mean, I'd say it's a good show. I enjoyed it, but yeah.
The one you're looking for, Ken, is me.
I know you.
I am the only one out of this group that dropped this series.
That surprises me.
I don't know. I guess the problem that I have with it is I guess I only just got back to watching anime, so maybe a lot of the playing with tropes and a lot of the deconstruction, all that, is just kind of flying over my head, and I don't really care. Because I think that's where a lot of the show's strength lies. It likes to play with those tropes a lot.
I would agree with that.
And again, I only just got back, so maybe a lot of the joy of seeing that sort of thing happen is flying over my head. And that might be the problem that I have with it. It's not a very good series to watch if you're only getting into anime.
Yeah, I'm very much on the exact other side of the spectrum. I loved Kill la Kill. It's one of my favorite in years. It had everything I wanted. Yeah.
You were brave enough to say that it was one of your top 3 if you were considering the third one option being a recent anime.
Yeah. Well, Kill la Kill has 2 things that I really love about it. So like people, and I'm gonna go into a little thing about the other anime that is supposed to save anime, which would be Space Dandy. All right? Mm-hmm. I don't like Space Dandy because it seems that nothing is connected. The rules change every episode, and therefore I find it hard to connect with and feel any kind of emotion towards what's going on. There's no danger, there's no threat, because it's going to be different next episode. Kill la Kill, though, and so people ask me, like, oh, well, then you hate Kill la Kill, right? And I'm like, no, because Kill la Kill establishes its rules, it establishes its world, and follows that for the whole thing. It is perfectly internally consistent. Crazy, yes, but always consistent. And that's something that's very important to me when I watch something. And then the other thing that's really good about it is its pacing. Like, I bitch about pace all the time.
As do I.
And Kill la Kill has perfect pacing. There is no filler in Kill la Kill. Not a single episode. And we never drag anything.
Has to be mentioned pacing. One thing that has to be mentioned pacing-wise is the awesome recap opening part that wasn't just a whole episode. It was just the opening. It's like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. What is it? The 15th episode or so, they decided to do the quote-unquote recap episode, which is, it's the cold opening. It's 2 minutes long. And I mean, they even poke fun at it. They're like, at Kill la Kill, we are so fast-paced that our entire recap episode goes before the opening credits. You know? And that's what I love about it. Like, that's the fun thing about Kill la Kill. Also, if you know Japanese, the fun thing about Kill la Kill is its puns. Its puns are so much fun. Because, we have fashion and fascism are almost the exact same word in Japanese. There's one letter difference. You have Kill la Kill, which is kiru ra kiru. Kiru can be cut, so it's cut the cut. It can be wear, like wearing clothes, wear the wear. It can be kill la kill. So it's all of these. It's a triple pun right in the title. And what is it? Seifuku is sailor outfit. It means school uniform.
Yeah.
But change one letter again, and it's world conquest. It's conquest. Everything they have in show is this series of puns on Japanese that expand it to hilarity. If you speak Japanese.
For some reason, I read I'm crazy like this. When I read, even if I read a letter or word spelt wrong, I would just correct it in my head and still read it, carry on. So when I read Kill la Kill, I read it as Killer Kill, as in the killer kills. I just thought, is that what I'm trying to get at? I just never I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
But the show is, I think, Maison Scène wise, is actually okay to watch. I think a lot of people would argue, and I think a lot of people do say it's a show that you can just kind of turn your brain off and you just flip it on and let it go, and you more or less enjoy it. But there's arguments to be said that people are finding other information about the show, like these meanings and anagrams and whatnot for the show. It's just, I think it's quite nice to see fans who try and find more things to enjoy about the show they do enjoy. It doesn't make me enjoy it anymore though when people do tell me about this sort of stuff. And I'm just like, oh, I see. That's nice.
I'm with Ken. I don't think I'd be able to enjoy it if I didn't turn off my brain. Yeah, it's a show that you just watch to enjoy, nothing else. That's what I think.
I think that turning off your brain is not something that should ever be required for anything. Turning off your brain means that to enjoy it, to look at it, it doesn't make sense unless you treat yourself like you're stupider than you are. But that's not true with Kill la Kill. Like, yes, it can be enjoyed just by pure entertainment, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's not one where if you start to think about it, it falls apart. Do you see what I'm saying?
The ending kind of was, though.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know how you see that, so I guess I can't argue it.
Well, I mean, there's a time and a place where turning off your brain for enjoyment might be good, but I don't know. Even don't get me wrong. I know this better than anyone. I've seen Data Live.
Yeah.
Now there's a show where you turn your brain off.
Well, don't get me wrong. You can argue that it went so far that it broke your own suspension of disbelief. Like that I can understand with Kill la Kill. But there was never a part where it broke its own rules. There was never a part where you were like, whoa, you said this earlier on and now you're saying this and that doesn't make sense.
True enough.
And that's what's important. Like
I caught plenty of shades of that in the first 8 or 9 episodes. That's as far as I got.
Mm-hmm. But that's the thing. Like, don't get me wrong. If you don't enjoy things going way over the top and keeping going over the top more and more, yeah. And also, it just loves to destroy. It's another deconstruction of magical girls. It's a lot of fun.
Yes.
It's certainly packed filled with a lot of references and little jokes inside. Anyway, I mean, I think I was reading a comment earlier. Apparently, was it episode 4 or 3? The background members casts are actually characters from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't even know this until I think it's great that people are finding this sort of information to make them enjoy the show even more. I think that's just great when the show does that.
Yeah, I have a little random fact about baseball and Kill la Kill. In the episodes that take place in Osaka, they're by the Tombury River, and when they destroy the whole thing, there's a statue of Colonel Sanders flying around.
Yeah.
That actually is part of popular culture in that region because it's part of a course for a baseball team, or the Hanshin Tigers. The statue was lost in the sea, and the people say that
in the river.
Yeah, and in the river, and after that, the people are saying that the Hanshin Tigers won't be champions again until they find the statue once again. So it's funny seeing that the statue appears actually 2 times in the show, flying around in the river and being destroyed.
Yep. Yeah, that was a big thing. Actually, Colonel Sanders is kind of all over Japan. There's statues everywhere. Not a joke.
Kill la
like
Kill is
everywhere. Yeah.
Kill la Kill is certainly a really good show. But that's one thing that really I think I do this with all animes anyway. But Kill la Kill, I mean, maybe it's, to be fair, it might be budgetary constraints, but a lot of the actual animation did not sit well with me. A lot of maybe you could argue that's just the art style, how they wanted the show to look. They wanted to have the sketch art, outlines and such, and how even was it Makusho, and how she's always one frame movements. How she's she's standing one leg, on her hands. But even then, I felt a lot of the actual scene, action scenes anyway. There's a lot of what seemed to be really not kind of bland animation, kind of like really cheap, copped out animation where they used maybe like less frames than they maybe should have used, and it just didn't. I mean, granted, it still sits really well because obviously the way that they've actually drawn everything and animated it actually is seamless. But when I look at it, I'm thinking to myself, whoa, that scene, I'm certain I've just seen that exact sequence of frames 4 times in a row, and I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's budget.
Yeah, I mean, again, I know it might be a budgetary issue, but it just, when people, I don't know, it's just when people say it's like these are these amazing action scenes, when I look at it, I think to myself, I'm thinking, I mean, this actually, we're sure we're about to talk later on, but I'll mention it later. But there's some shows that do really well, maybe because they do have a big budget or not. But when it comes to these really, in my opinion, really funny, funky frame shots, I just did not sit well with me. I don't know about you guys if you noticed that or how the animation was done.
I think you're absolutely right that it was done for budget. However, I also think that it was also a choice because the animation style is very heavy 80s. Late 80s, early 90s. Like, that's the look. I don't mean to say that they look the same, but that's the kind of look it invokes. Because you're right. The backgrounds are often not detailed. Or they're obscured by mist or stuff like that. Yeah, these are all budgetary things, absolutely. Yeah. But it also was trying to obviously invoke that kind of style, like the classic action, 80s action anime.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah, I mean,
I'm not saying that makes it better or worse. I'm just saying that, when you have a budget, you do what you do, right?
Yeah. I mean,
on that,
they did really well anyway.
Go.
Sorry, you go, Kevin.
Have you noticed that the flashbacks form 4:3 instead of 16:9 in sepia?
Yeah.
It's like that's both a budget and a choice.
Yeah.
I give it a pass because Studio Trigger is essentially an indie animation studio right now. But I mean, in the future, I mean, compare Gurren Lagann's animation to this. Gurren Lagann did a lot better job because they had the money.
I mean, you say indie studio. I mean, when they boast a cast and staff member like they did, I mean, I don't think it's that hard to find the money to animate a series. Unlike some other studio, I'm not going to say any.
Oh God, no. It's got to be. It's very, very hard for them to find money. Like very, very hard. Let me tell you, that's a talk for another time. How
I guess
they are
it
made
seems
in
so.
Japan. But let me assure you that it's amazing they got enough money to make a 26 episode series.
Oh yeah, I was actually surprised at that.
Amazing, because and also they're not going to make any money off of this at all. Not at all. It doesn't matter how popular it is. They're not going to make any money, just because of how it all works.
I guess that would.
Yeah, sorry, it's a really long kind of talk, or I'd tell you.
I think I get what you're saying, but let's leave that for.
It's all about investors. Like, let's just put it this way: to make an anime, you pay out the nose, and you sign away all your royalties, basically. Like, your investors demand like a 300 to 400% return, and you have to pay the TV networks to air you. And then you have to sell off the merchandising rights and everything else. And so what they end up keeping is just a little bit of the DVD sales and a little bit of the merchandising. And that's all they get. And when you don't have an established studio to be like, oh yeah, we can totally get your money back, then it's really hard to get the investing conglomerates on board.
Yeah, as far as I know, Studio Trigger doesn't have a parent company, right?
I'm not sure.
No,
but even if they do,
that would probably feed into it a lot.
Yeah.
But that's
so
neither here nor there.
It's a miracle that they were able to do what they did with name recognition alone. I mean, remember Little Witch Academia? That's Kickstarter.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I love. Oh, I thought they.
No, the first one they did.
The sequel, yeah.
Yeah, but the sequel they had to Kickstarter.
The first one they get with their own money. Yeah, the sequel to Kickstarter. Yeah, that was a great little AVA.
Yep. All right, anyway. Sorry to get off on side notes.
It's okay.
Yeah.
That's why we have you here. It's the sort of podcast.
That's fascinating little sideline that we took, but
yeah.
So I'm actually very surprised we haven't mentioned plot at all. Like at all, we haven't mentioned it.
Well, Kill la Kill has more fan service than anything I've watched in years, but oddly,
you're watching the wrong shows, Richard.
I don't know. Did you see the last episode where everyone was literally naked for half of the episode? Like quite literally full frontal nudity naked?
Well, okay,
because that did happen. I promise.
That's not fan service. It's just normal nudity. We want something.
And that's the funny thing.
The audience wants something tasteful.
You're right though. As the fact that they are all naked, but none of it is sexual. Oddly enough.
Yeah.
Like that's the weirdest thing. It's like, yeah, everyone's butt naked, but like it's like, oh, like I mean, hell, it basically ends with them like in a sisterly loving embrace with all the other naked people around them, and it's not sexual at all. And I'm just kind of like, good job. Odd, but good job.
Okay.
It's weird that that's the thing, but yeah. Plot.
Yeah, plot.
The plot, yeah, I mean...
I think the reason that we haven't brought this up is because it's almost like it's written on the box. You look at any image off the internet from Kill la Kill, and you pretty much already got half the point.
Yeah, it's an 80s action film almost. Kid comes character goes to set a company or whatnot, gets revenge on someone, and then granted there's a little twist in the end. Well, I don't know if I think it's not hard to see coming, that it was coming. That the main bad villain was actually a good guy and such, but it was kind of really not when I say generic in this sense, it's actually well done though. Like it's not bad generic. It's normal generic 80s action film, I'd like to think. A good old-fashioned revenge story.
Yeah.
Anime.
There's a lot of that action-y stuff going on from like the 80s, like you guys have been going on about. You invoke a lot of that sort of feeling. Yeah. I only watched 8 episodes and I can even see that.
Well, there was a series that we were all watching that was a little lighter then, which was Noragami, the only show that we've been to. That only has 12 episodes. I don't think we talked about. Noragami was I personally really enjoyed it. I thought it was astounding for this season. I don't know about you guys.
One thing I'll say about Noragami really quick is it had some good action, it had some good this and that and whatnot, but I was always on the fence about it. I really was. I was never really in a hurry to watch the next episode like other shows this season.
No, that's fair.
The only reason why I watched it is because these guys made me watch it. But I gotta say, it reminds me of more simpler times in anime. I mean,
yeah,
if you've seen like the reviews I've done, they're all like pretty heavy, depressing stuff. And just seeing this, that reminds me of something like Pokemon that's so simple, week by week, episodic. It makes me happy, but it's nothing amazing.
I'd
agree with that.
I'd like to then, if that's the case, I'd probably want to put a statement out there for reason why. I think what I really enjoyed is that even though you've all said it was kind of like, it doesn't go too into the deep end of any complex subjects, it does touches and dance around them, and like we said earlier, we can't obviously, well, in this sense, because it's more of emotional subjects anyway that series could obviously delve into rather than educational subjects like economics and such. But with Noragami, I thought the way they danced around it was really well done. And then maybe people were off put by the injection of humor. I think that it's fair to say that they did force a lot of jokes, and I thought it worked really well in the sense that when you think about how Hiyori, the character, kind of dances in and out of the Neverworld or the Far Shore, whatever they call it,
the Far Shore,
and then back into the real world. Yeah, and it was just, I thought it resembled the way they tell the stories and the way that Hiyori, how she would experience the overall plot as well. And I thought it was just, maybe I'm looking too much into it. Like
no.
I said earlier.
She's definitely the audience proxy. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it was really great. And then maybe it's just me, but I just love any time when any anime likes to play with any gods or like any Japanese figures and just play around with them. It's like, yeah, you know what? I could believe that. If they ever were like that, that'd be fun if they were. It was a nice twist on gods as well, especially with Yato, the main character.
No wonder you were watching Inari Con.
Oh.
We won't get into that one, but yes. But just on what Kevin was saying, I can agree now that I think about it that it kind of invokes kind of a younger time in this whole anime thing. They have a premise and they go out and they have adventures with that premise, but it's not necessarily a deep thought experiment into something. It's not necessarily over the top actiony like Kill la Kill. It's not exactly a feels train like Golden Time. It just is a fun little show.
I mean, the last episode was really executed well, especially that fight scene between him and the other god, which I slightly forgot. I think maybe it's
Ronga?
Rabu. That's it. Yeah.
Rabu.
I remember because it's in another show called what was it? Love Live. The opening, they can't say the word love, and so they said something like Rabu, and I was like, oh, that's where they got the word from. God. That's how I remember it anyway. But anyway, it's, I thought, for what, I mean, maybe throughout the series we didn't have too many what seemed to be heavily budgeted action scenes, but in the end that seemed really well done, especially.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack to that show, I thought it was astounding as well. It was really excellent.
Good moments.
I was gonna mention that the soundtrack is really one of the great points of the series, and the art actually is great too. But and the premise is also very interesting, but the characters are, I don't know, they become annoying at the middle of the series.
Oh, you were so on the same page as me, George. Yes.
Too.
Yeah.
We talked about the arc with Yukine and his insurgents of being a rebel.
I had to push through that part.
It's not that I find them annoying as much as... Okay, this is how I look at it. Basically, let's look at Yukine and what's the girl?
Hiyori.
Hiyori. Yeah. Let's look at how they treat him. That's what gets me, is because like they treat him like he is a useless slacker who is just a horrible person, right? But everything we see shows that he's not. You know, he'll take any job for 5 yen. He's the exact opposite of a slacker.
Yeah.
And yet they're always like, hey, you're slacking. Why don't you get a real job? Why don't you do some real work? No, he's doing real work all the time. Now, don't get me wrong. His advertising campaign blows balls. But if you want to, maybe you should help him with that instead of just being like, oh, you'd get a real job, you horrible
suck.
guy. You suck. And so like I'm sitting there watching this and I'm like, all right, either A, they're written badly because she knows that he works hard. After all, she exploits it by hiring him to solve her impossible problem for 5 yen.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like she straight up exploits it, and then she bitches like, "Oh, why aren't you getting more money, or why aren't you doing this and that?" And I'm just like, and so every time they do this or they complain about how bad he is, you know, it's like I'm just sitting there like, okay, so either you're badly written or you're horrible people.
He's like the only god on the planet that's actually doing something, and you're calling him a slacker. It is bad.
Yeah, and they go to they go see Tenjin, you know, the god of education or whatever, and she's like, oh, this is how a god should act. What, you mean the guy who won't help anybody? The guy who outsources his own shrines? That's good. You don't want the guy like this guy who would demand like even her friends, even the goddess of discord or whatever, right? Like even she's like, you're gonna pay me $1,000 for helping you, you know, and she has the audacity to bitch at him. And so every time like either her or Yukine open their mouth, like I go from really enjoying this world, like you guys were talking about, to just utter disdain for every single character in the show except for Yado. Granted, after episode 8, when that arc ends, and they both actually treat him like he's a person, suddenly I'm on board. Like from episode 8 on, I'm like, okay, this is good stuff. I'm okay now. So it's very strange that I loathe like the first 8 episodes because of the characters. And then after that point, after that growing pains, I'm like, all right, now we're doing a show.
I can agree with everything there.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know if you guys saw it. You probably didn't. Unless you're pirates, yar. The first, I grabbed I rented the DVD for the extra episode, which was
an extra episode.
So fantastic.
I didn't even know.
Oh yeah, it's Hiyori's first day.
Hiyori's past, no?
Yeah, it's her first day in high school, and to celebrate, Yado possesses her body because she's out of it.
Okay.
And she basically just goes freaking crazy. And we're supposed to think like, oh, look at all the horrible stuff he's doing to her body. And I'm sitting there going, deserves it. Woman deserves it. Like for all the crap that they've given him. And I mean, don't get me wrong, he's not doing anything like dirty or perverted or something. But he just flat out is like goes up to like 20 guys and like the entire soccer team and is like, if you guys win this game, I'll confess my feelings to all of you. And they're like, what, you mean all of us? She's like, oh, don't make me say it, it's so embarrassing. You know, and then proceeds when they start failing to go out there and win the entire game by herself or himself.
I shall resist the urge to pirate.
Because but it is fantastic. Like that, if the whole series was stuff like that, I'd have a completely different opinion.
In fairness, the first 8 episodes was a lot of heavy injection of that sort of comedy, especially that episode with the man who tries to commit suicide, and then they just have a really long discussion as they're falling to their death.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're like, oh, wait a minute. And then Yukine's like, guys, aren't we falling? Shouldn't we be hurrying this up? And then just like, oh, carry on. Carry on, sir.
Why would we want to slow down?
Yeah. So the show is packed with that sort of comedy anyway, you know, and
those are the good parts.
I think it helps. I think it's fair argument to say that is a bit. gone a bit dodgy in the middle part. But yeah, the comedy does propel the series forward into that arc, because I don't think it does help you get there in the end, and without it, maybe the ending wouldn't have less of an impact, because especially that scene when Hiyori forgets.
Oh.
That's when it really hits home, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you think.
Yeah.
So,
no,
especially even
that's
then, like
good
Yukine's when he realizes, I mean, actually, to be fair, I really did enjoy the beginning arc of Yukine's little insurgence, where he loses the kid and he realizes that he's ever going to be a real boy again. So,
like it's fine for all that to happen. Like that's not it. It's more like how they interact with him that I have the problem with than the plot.
Yeah. But
you're right.
I thought overall it was really good. I just really enjoyed it.
Good character development, certainly.
Yep. And they had some of the best side characters as well, I thought. Especially the god of poverty. Kotaku was absolutely hilarious. You gotta love her. But anyway, I think that's, to be fair, I think that's the biggest shows we would say that we've talked about. Is there any shows that you want to give a quick... I mean, there's a lot of shows that we want to talk about.
Do we want to talk about Nagi really quick?
Considering I haven't seen the last two, we can do a quick overview, should we say?
It has the greatest ending theme I've ever heard. Seriously, I love that.
Oh, you chose...
Aquaterium is the greatest. Oh my gosh.
I'm more of the opening fan. Actually,
I'm a fan of the second opening.
Actually, Golden Time had a really good ending.
The first one?
The
second one?
The first one. The second ending. Yeah, the second ending. They're really upbeat at the beginning. I thought that was really good. And the second opening for Golden Time was astounding as well.
Really? God, I hate that song. Sounds like somebody's just bashing their head on a keyboard. It's like, quick, we're going to have a discordant melody, and it's not even going to really have a chorus. We're just going to hit these piano keys a lot while somebody sings. It'll be
Maybe because I haven't been exposed to it. Yeah, but as from my point, because I'm a piano player, I bet. So I love how the crescendo hits. Just like normally when a crescendo happens, you build it up from quiet to loud. And so it was just so barbaric, the sound. It was like beautiful almost. I thought. But Yuri sings. I think she maybe in that song. I think she did a really good job on that song anyway. Sing from her other songs she does, which are normally quite poppy. I think that song was a really good job.
This has been a rapid tangent.
Yeah, really.
Well, from Nagi to openings and endings, I think I could discuss opening endings.
Well, technically, we hit 3 series in quick succession, talk about openings and endings. That was great. Okay.
I do
back
love
to Nagi.
Back to Nagi.
It's a beautiful show. I think Pierre works.
It has a lot of good stuff going for it.
Good themes.
Yeah,
touches some really
good themes. Some good characters, although sometimes we have some problems with that. But overall, they're pretty good.
There are some endearing moments in that show where you can't help but feel inflicted as well, and
it's decent heavy drama.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
It's coming of age. It's slice of life. It's decent heavy drama in this kind of fantasy world.
It had that twist at the middle of the season that really did good things for the show.
Yeah.
Helped change the status quo. That was good.
Yeah, because it was dragging before that.
It was dragging.
The last, what was it, episode 8 to 10, they were kind of like, we know what's happening. Come on.
Yeah, I was watching this weekly, so I was really starting to grate on me.
Yeah, considering I marathon through, a good majority of it, I really am having a hard time finding any faults to it, really. It's great. I can't really find any faults unless you point them out, and I might agree, but...
Yeah, I actually like the pacing of the series a lot, because I feel that every episode something is happening. The plot is advancing at every episode. It doesn't feel like it's a breather or something like that.
No, you're right.
Definitely.
Certainly as of late as well. They've been trying to resolve some things.
it takes care of all its characters. I think that's the best part. Like even when we introduce, like we bring in the big sister's arc with her trying to move off to the land, and we bring in the two kids that I can't remember the name now. Miyu and Thing. You get a sudden like outburst of these brilliant characters. Then you're like, oh god, what are you gonna do with it? And then you know what, the show takes care of them. They're like, you know what, we'll have your arc. We'll have your arc. It's like yes.
I was very impressed like how well they handled such a large cast. Because they did very well. But like that's the thing. I agree with you. Something does happen in every episode. But the problem that I had was with about like episodes 7 to 12 it's the same thing every episode. Even though we're trying to prepare for the festival, we're dealing with the fallout of the sister moving to land.
Yes.
And that's that's the point of every single one of those episodes, to the point where I'm like, didn't we already resolve the sister moving?
Yeah.
She did it already.
Yeah.
She's here.
The show, it probably would have benefited if they didn't keep mentioning the whole festival. Like if there wasn't
the festival.
Yeah. If they didn't mention it so often, it would have helped the series a lot.
Ofuniki? Yes.
Funehiki.
Yep. Funeki?
Oh, Funehiki.
Okay. Oh, you seem not even gonna try.
But I think it's PA Works a specialist type of show there, isn't it? A coming of age show. They did a nice little twist on it with a fantasy. Yeah, it's a special. I mean, they've definitely got a track record for that sort of show anyway.
Yes.
Definitely got a track record.
Yeah, very pretty, very cool world.
I enjoy them.
Yeah. Good characters.
Bit of a tongueful for the village name, Shishio or something. I can't remember.
You're right.
Shishio.
Yeah, you're right.
Shishio. But, it's a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah, but my only real problem with it is that after the amazing twist halfway through, that they basically do with it is use it as a way to kind of draw out the return to the status quo.
Yes.
And
problematic.
Like I almost feel like there weren't lasting consequences for the majority of the characters.
Yeah.
Like only one character is really affected by the climax. And that's like she's the one who really that's what hurts her, the midway climax. Everybody else they eventually get right back to where they were.
We're back.
And only she deals with it. Like honestly, I would have liked the series a lot more if honestly half the characters were freaking gone at the midway point.
Yeah.
Like they stayed gone. If that would have happened, I would have just...
It would have changed the paradigms with the relationships. It would have done a lot of things, and it might have been better.
Right, but like if suddenly like the side character, Chinami, if suddenly the side girl is the main character of the whole show, that's a really ballsy twist. And it looked like it was going to be that, and was that for 2 or 3 episodes, before suddenly...
Everyone started coming back.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, the dynamic we were doing the whole first half is back. Except now it really sucks for her. Like that was the only real change.
Yeah.
I feel like it did. I mean, like there were hints of it, definitely with the opening sequence during the songs. Right. Anyway, I mean, maybe it's just an anime thing in general. But I think that's not a problem with that. If you watch the opening, if you do kind of pay too much attention to it, you realize what might be happening or like what characters will come back and such, which kind of ruins a lot of surprises. So with the opening, they did at least hide it a little bit, and then suddenly, we got a new sequence anyway. It's like, we're gonna do that. But it did feel like with the some of the characters gone, Miyu and Thing would take their place,
right.
And it was geared up for
characters were introduced. Okay,
yes.
Like, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't like they were ignored, because they certainly weren't ignored.
Oh, no, yeah, like I said, we said earlier, they were taken care of so well.
Yeah, but still, like, I almost feel that, most of the characters who returned didn't need to return. Especially, what's her name? The main girl.
Muna?
Muna.
Manika.
Yeah.
Oh, Muna.
No, you're right. Sorry.
Manika, Manika's the one with the one,
Oh, okay, sorry, I messed up my...
Yeah.
I got my Monica.
That's why I'm the host.
If Monica and the other boy never returned, it would have had so much more emotional impact for me.
Konami, yes, I know that.
I don't know. I love Konami's character. I think like maybe it's just a personal taste for you. I feel like the fact that the orb came back was kind of really like almost in a full circle sense. Like even if everyone does come, like, go away for this so long. It's kind of like their friendship was still see if they still stay intact. It's a test of time almost. Because it's a coming of age story. It's like when at that sort of age, people like kids leave.
But only one of them's had to deal with coming of age. But no, I see what you mean. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's bad, and I'm certainly never. Like I enjoyed every episode. I'm okay with. And I did tend to enjoy it. I just it's just one of those things where you're like, oh really? You just decided to go back to where it was safe? Oh, okay.
It certainly was. It would be definitely a different dynamic if it was about Chinami, since
Chisaki.
Chisaki.
Is it Chisaki, not Chinami?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Well, I'm gonna go hide in the corner for a while.
Yeah, you guys tricked me. That's why I said Chinami.
Hey, I made the first mistake. You guys are fine now.
Any other shows then? Because Nagi was a really popular show. I thought it was a popular show.
It was good.
It looked like.
Yeah, and considering it also has one more episode too, and
we still so we don't know quite yet.
Yeah,
maybe Ghost Boundary might come in and ruin the entire show for us. And this podcast, I have to edit it all out. I don't know.
It's the brick joke of the fall season.
Ghost Boundary. He comes back.
God.
Yeah. Well, if they end up standing on a bridge in the middle of the ocean, then
God.
Oh, it's happening.
I'm just shutting the computer if that happens. But
all right, next one.
That's not good.
What about another show?
Oh no.
Huh?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say. I'm transitioning. Watch as I transition.
Go on, man.
No. My like, as much as I like Kill la Kill, and I really did love Kill la Kill, I think probably like the one I most enjoyed though was Sakura Trick.
And
I know that sounds crazy, like
Studio Dean.
Yeah.
Always bet on.
It's just this. I like things that break the mold. I mean, that should be pretty obvious from everything I say.
Yes.
Like, that's what I want. I want things that break the mold. And unfortunately, the mold in anime and Japanese dramas is always, or when it comes to love stories, is very simple. It's always the same. We work. It's like, oh, these two people who clearly love each other, yet somehow they never ever get around to confessing.
Will they? Won't they? Love triangle. That's
ever and ever. and that's the thing. And 99.9% of the time, it ends with the confession. Like somehow that's the end of the relationship, not the beginning.
Absolutely.
And that drives me up a wall. And then you get Sakura Trick, which is the exact opposite. It's two people who fall into a relationship and they very much love each other, but have no clue what they're doing.
In the first episode. And that's what it is, though.
Yeah.
And it's these two characters, and that's what it is. It's this very simple story about, two girls who love each other and don't know what they're doing and are dealing with the fun things like the fun Japanese idea that lesbians don't exist, which is always and by the way, you may be sitting out there going, oh, well, there's all that yuri and yaoi. Yeah, except that's not. Yeah. Does anybody know what yaoi stands for?
It's just it's for men and men.
Yeah.
You don't know it's an acronym?
No.
Why didn't I look it up exactly? It's yaminashi or yarinashi iminashi. God. Shoot. Somebody in the comments is gonna know what this is. But
here I was actually expecting it in English.
It stands for no. It's let's see. It's no meaning, no climax, no something. Like that's what yaoi stands for. It's for
Yamanashi, Ochinashi, Iminashi.
There you
go. No climax, no resolution, no meaning.
Yeah. No climax, no resolution, no meaning. That's what it means. That's why it has two endings. All yaoi has two endings. One, tragic romance, they aren't able to hook up. Or B, they end up running away together. And they have to go to some place where they're accepted. That's how they end. And Yuri is the same way. Because they're counterparts. And that's the thing is, so they're dealing with the fact that being gay is not okay. It's treated lightheartedly, but that's what they're doing. So I like it for that reason. And they have a successful relationship, somehow. and that they're friends again. Like it's Buck.
Well, I was going to say that they don't even know what the hell their relationship is, and that's realistic in and of itself.
Yeah, like if from the culture they're coming from, absolutely. And that's the thing, and that it's lighthearted, and that I like that it is episodic but has continuity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like things continue.
There's clear relationships evolving over the course of the series up between all of the cast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I haven't seen the last two though. But, sorry, George.
I marathon the whole series and I really enjoy it. But I have I don't. There was something that really surprised me about the show, and that was that. Well, it seems that I was the only one watching recently. My sister is unusual, right? Well,
I did not watch
Sakura Trick does some of the same scenes that people are complaining happened in recently, and there can be put in another. They're exchangeable in between the shows, but people are not complaining about them in Sakura Trick because it somehow fits the plot.
I think it's just because Sakura Trick is kind of sweeter in a lot of ways than my sister. How do you say this? It's just that my sister recently, blah, blah, blah. It's just a lot more explicit because it's an ecchi show.
No, actually, only the first 3 episodes are somehow explicit, but after that, I think that Sakura Trick is even more explicit than my sister is unusual.
Oh, you see, I dropped recently after like
I actually gave it 3 episodes. I actually gave it the 3 episode rule. I was like, you know what, I must carry on. God give me strength for the 3 episodes. I dropped it. To be fair though, George has a point. He one of the episodes in Sakura Trick, one of the girls was like in the shower just scrubbing, and then she looks towards the screen and goes, "You know, this is fan service."
Yeah.
I thought, you broke the fourth wall just to tell me you've got fan service. God damn it! God damn it all.
It was like, we don't.
George has a point. Yeah, George has a point. You know.
Great.
The show certainly really is quite good though. I think it's quite an endearing, a light-hearted show. What it is.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's a masterpiece, but what it does well, and it was fun.
It's sweet, it's fun, and it's just one of those things where you watch and you don't walk away feeling sad.
Yeah. I have to admit that when I first watched the episode, I was kind of taken back by the way it was actually directed, the way they displayed anything on screen. It resembled the way Shaft, one of their directors, the one who handles the Monogatari series. Mm-hmm. It was like, the really abstract shots of just maybe something that resembles the character, and then like footsteps, not even them walking as footsteps. I was like, oh, that's almost like a Kinemari sketch and Monogatari. Is this Shaft production all of a sudden? I was like, oh, it's I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. So I was really happy with the way it's actually all directed
absolutely
based on same way.
Yeah, I'm right with you on that, because each character has a representative object or flower basically, or it's actually a
kind of
plant.
It's one weed. One weed.
It did show up sometimes. I'd always.
That's that one character. What
that's
is it? I don't want
the joke girl. God. Yeah, and I don't know what that leaf was supposed to be. Was that supposed to be a maple leaf? But they didn't know what a maple leaf looks like.
I think a lot of people are going to associate it with marijuana or something like that.
Well, that's the thing. That's what it looks like. But I'm like, is that what they meant to do? Is there? I bet you there's just some Japanese tree.
I'm sure that it's not. I'm sure that it's not, and they're just kind of slipping it past the radar.
Yeah. So I'm sure because everyone else is more or less understandable, but hers is just sort of it's just weed.
Yeah, no, but
it's just quirky, just like the rest of the show.
But as we were talking about, like earlier when we were talking about like budget saving versus style, this is one clear thing where they decided to save budget and add style. Do we need a scene of them walking across the classroom? No. Is it going to just waste money doing it? Yes. So why don't we just do a fun little flash animation of a flower moving that represents one of them, moving close to a flower of another one, and have walking sounds. It's an animation that takes 10 minutes to make and saves tons of money. But at the same time, you're also like, that's cute. I get it. I know what they're doing. And
it definitely takes a leaf out of the book from Shaft. Yeah, it just like when I first watched it, it's just like this is almost a Hidamari sketch in the Monogatari. It's like really well, almost like to the book how to direct an anime or what to put on the screen. It was absolutely fun and just. Hey, you saw the punch for that first episode, Yuri Physics. I mean, how you flipped the other guy.
That flip was so weird.
I mean, I actually looked into it, and apparently there's like a guy who bothered to figure out the physics, and then it's like he goes to the like he gives all this like explanation because it's physically possible, but the problem is all the end result is they both end up dead. Like there's no like way they can survive. It's like I don't want to know this anymore. This kind of dampens my.
It's just Yuri Physics. Just go with it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like I said, that's another one of the many quirks of the show that makes it likable, but it also stresses your suspension of disbelief in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, and it also the other
good.
thing that I wanted to say is though it also points out one of the big problems in Japan right now, which is the declining birth rate.
Yes.
Japanese are going extinct. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Schools are getting smaller, classes are getting smaller, schools are closing. And so, what happens in Sakura Trick where they are the last freshmen in their high school. Yeah, they're the last class before the school is closed and all the problems they face as their school's going to close where the school district doesn't want to spend money on them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's something kids are having to deal with now. And that sucks.
It's a cultural insight that's making its way into a lot of the media these days.
Yeah, because and like I think one of you guys really liked Non Biori.
Oh, that was me.
Same exact thing, right? This school that now only has 5 kids in the whole school, and yet at one point had full classes, and it's very common now, as the birth rate keeps dropping.
Yep.
Well, let's go to another series that I think we all enjoyed as well, which is it's a nice, short, 7 minutes of fun. Tonari and Seki-kun.
Yep.
We all.
Tonari.
It's quickly. It does deserve a little bit of love, right? Because it's quite a fun show.
Well, as I've quipped before, the first episode had some very nice fireworks.
It's just a show that has
the budget was amazing.
Like that's just the thing. It's just such a fun little show. Like there's no real. I mean, and the funny thing is that it even bothers to have continuity. That still kills me.
Yeah.
Yet somehow
just like Sakura Trick, it's one of those things where you go in, you watch it, you walk away, and you have a smile on your face. You always do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just minus the Yuri.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Rumi will be held back a year.
Oh, don't you know? There's the fun thing. In Japan, you can't be held back.
Oh.
Stop. Also, you want to know what the average score on tests is? Between 30 and 50%.
Yeah.
That's a passing. Like there's no such thing as a failing grade. So.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah.
More fascinating tidbits of culture.
So there you go. There's your fun.
I'm happy that it's these sort of shows, these short like 8-minute shows are getting that sort of praise because I think lately, well maybe about the last few seasons we've gotten like a few short animes, especially one of the longer ones. I think it was Senyu, where it's a comedy about a hero, like he was like the one who's meant to save the world. It's a nice little one. It's those sort of like I love these like short animes where it's just they kind of like. In a way, they kind of shield themselves from being bad because all they do is focus on the only content they know they're confident on. I guess it was Seki-kun they play with Seki Tonari's. Is it Seki-kun? Is that his name? I can't remember now. Yeah, Seki-kun. His shenanigans on his desk board, and then you got another short series I can't remember. Yamuno Susume, the one where they're just 2 girls climbing up a mountain. And there's so many short animes where it's just they really just I think the best one more recently is Miss Monochrome, the one where it's just Yui Horii. It's like her own little short anime.
You need to watch the Q.
But
the Q is really good.
Puns, like I said, Kill la Kill is full of puns. Tonari no Seki-kun, full of puns. Because Seki, do you know what that means?
No.
In Japanese, it means seat or chair. So, and Tonari means neighbor or next to. So, Tonari no Seki-kun, it means the seat next to me. It also means the Seki next to me. The person who sits in front of Seki is Maeda. The guy in front. Mae is in front. And I can't remember his name, but the person behind and to the side, they're all named based on their proximity to Rumi.
It almost feels like a low budget scheme.
Well, and that's the fun thing, is that it's all making fun of that pun. So everybody's just named by pun, which is a lot of fun.
Japan, you so funny.
Is there any other series that we all
I think
deserve a little of a...
I think that's all we really have.
Yeah. We
all watched a lot more, obviously, but clearly, these are the ones that we pretty much all watched, at least some of.
Yes.
And that will settle up for the season of anime. So hold your tongue now, guys, because we're past that now. It's too late.
It's too late.
So, but no, since this is recorded on such a curious time where it's the end of the season and just the beginning of the new.
Oh yes.
I think it's best we talk what we're looking forward to. I mean, like, it is a sad week to say goodbye to so many characters and series, but
it's time to
do some new friends.
New characters.
Yeah, it's time to find new friends. And you go off, David. You go start.
I'm starting us off. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna point out the one that I am very cautiously interested in. Selector Infected Wheatcross. I believe that's how it's said. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm pretty famous for having gut instincts about shows, and this is one where I'm just kind of saying it's gonna be interesting, but I'm not sure if it'll necessarily be good or not. You've got the series composition by Mari Okada. I'm probably gonna butcher these names. Just go along with it.
Yeah.
But she wrote Anohana, Nagi no Azukara, Toradora. She's got a whole bunch of pedigree there. You got the character designer and the director from Steins Gate. You've got JC staff who are doing the whole thing. Railgun, Golden Time, Witchcraft Works.
It's quite a weird mix-up if you think about it, though.
Yeah, it's a weird mix, but it's got a very high pedigree, which is why I'm thinking it might be getting too big for itself.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, like, I'm also interested in it because it looks, and this is, of course, with absolutely no, and like, almost no information on it. It at least looks like it's supposed to be a deconstruction of the card game playing anime.
Yes.
Like, that's what it looks like.
Screw card game with a bunch of girls.
Yeah, it's like girls hear voices from the card. It's like Dark Yu-Gi-Oh! That's what it is. Like, girl hears this thing and like voice in the cards, and whoever wins gets their wish granted, but it looks like it's going to be like murder the people, so you get your wish.
Yeah. I have to say,
you really gotta wonder when you think about who's writing it. This is the person who's like done romance over and over and over again. Suddenly we get a dark magic card game thing. What?
This resembles. It resembles a lot of one of the series I do have, which was obviously my Sea Money of Souls and thing. The idea is that these people go into an alternate dimension to fight, and then with their familiars, and the winners actually win fake money or money that would like fortune. It's kind of like in that same sense where this one where it's like cards they fight and then they play the card game, and the victor takes on like benefits in the real life world. Probably. Almost. Yeah, it does resemble Sea Money of Soul, which I'm thinking is like this could be great because the first one was about economics. This one just seems to be more about the human nature of like greed and such desire and hope.
Yeah.
So it seems really fun, and it does. I mean, it's not to be said that this sort of show has been done multiple times. A deconstruction series. I mean, it was like 2 seasons ago. We had one magical fighting girls where it was about girls who use their tarot cards as their magical powers. I actually watched that, and it wasn't the greatest, but I still have high hopes for this series as well.
So, yeah, Selector Infected Wheatcross. It's the one that I'm most interested in seeing unfold. I want to see if it manages to go good.
Yeah. Sure, certainly. I'm intrigued, if nothing else.
Definitely. That's how I'd describe it. So I have something of a gut instinct about that show. We'll see. So, yeah.
What was your next one?
Next
yeah,
up,
is that anymore? Yeah.
Next up, I've got the flag one. Kanjo ga flag, whoa, blah blah blah. Also known as Gawarorer, which I'm not sure where they get that from.
Well, it's kind of like no come, really, isn't it? All over again.
Anyway, it's a romantic comedy about lamp shading flags. And if you don't know what flags are, it's when we say, "Oh, look, a death flag," when someone says something where they're obviously going to die.
Yeah.
That's what a flag is. And apparently this show is basically lampshading flags. The main character, I believe, I'm going from memory here, he sees flags.
Yeah, he literally sees the flags.
Yeah.
So, I mean, lampshading flags, I'm already sold on this one.
Sounds funny.
It sounds like it could be a solid comedy, but that's all I can say about it, really. Does anyone else have anything to say on it?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so go Kevin.
Well, I actually didn't even see this one before you mentioned it, and I'm very interested too. I mean, if any of you are a fan of TV tropes, you'll probably like this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lampshading tropes is always a treat.
It does have that flavor of the earliest season, No Come. I mean, I think Richard was the one who you were praising it quite a bit, weren't you?
I think it was the funniest that season had to offer for sure. I still look back at it. It was just a really fun show based on layered humor, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems to the flag show seems to have that sort of flavor around it, with a main character who sees something what would be arbitrarily like a game element, a flag or two options on his life. It seems good. I mean, I'm also looking forward to it as well.
So yeah, that's one of my 3 that I'm looking forward to. And then the last one that I'm tentatively looking at, this is kind of a late edition. I only just got around to adding it like last night. It's the Mahoka Koku no Retouze?
Yeah. You want me to do it?
We still
that would probably be better. I don't speak Japanese.
Mahoka Koku no Retouze.
Okay. I wasn't too far off, but I just don't have the accent. So yeah, it's The Irregular at Magic High School is its translation. And I don't know much about this aside from the fact that it's by Madhouse. It's going to be an interesting sort of magical, fun ride.
To inform you, it has got 2 core, so you're in for the long haul.
Yes, it's a long haul.
Yeah.
Because it's by Madhouse, I'm expecting a really good animation out of it. Madhouse has proven themselves to be pretty good with their animation. And at the very least, a passable plot execution. Aestevalis can probably tell you more about what this show is and why you should be watching it, though.
Yeah, that The Irregular is also in my list, and this is actually based on a series of very popular light novels in Japan. They're actually one of the best sellers every year since 4 or 5 years ago. And I really like the light novels. Is let's say there aren't many series out there that can play an overpowered main character as well as this one, and still keep things very entertaining and the suspense really very gripping in the series. The cast is very, very large, but as in Nagi, they are actually very well developed. So I'm actually very excited about this one.
What else are you excited for, George?
My other 2 ones. The first one is I don't know much about it. It's called Ishukan Friends or 1 Week Friends. The premise reminds me a lot of a short manga that I like a lot that's called Station Forget. So it's about a girl who don't have any friends because every week she loses her memories. So it's the story about this guy that tries to befriend her every week once again. It sounds a lot like this one I mentioned, so I'm somewhat excited about it.
It sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds good to watch him befriend her over and over again. Kind of like Groundhog Day, almost.
Yeah.
Groundhog Day.
It seems a lot more highlight.
Okay.
Sorry, you were saying?
I just hope it doesn't go like 50 First Dates, that movie by Adam Sandler.
Oh,
Do you remember?
Oh.
All right, and what's your last one?
The last one is a short series. It's gonna be a short series. It's called Mangaka-san to Assistant 2. It's probably one of the funniest manga that I have ever read, but this comes with a warning. And it has a little, well, it's an ecchi manga, and it's actually a little over the top in that aspect. So,
yeah,
all right.
If you wanted to, sorry, the translation would be the manga artist and his assistant.
Yeah.
The translation.
But the good part is that the ecchi aspect actually plays a place in the plot, since he's looking for references for his manga, so he's putting his assistants through those weird situations to draw inspiration.
It's almost meta.
but the characters are very solid, and they have an excellent chemistry between them, and the humor is really, really good.
Cool.
But at least in the manga, I need to see how the anime turns out.
Cool. Yeah. Sounds good.
How about you, Kevin? What would you
put me last because
Oh man. Okay, then if that's the case, well then, what about you, Richard? Then.
About me? All right. Let me find the notes. Yes. Okay. I'm looking forward to. Gosh, it's called in Japanese. It's called Akuma no Riddle. Apparently it does have an English name, which is Riddle Story of Devil.
Yeah.
Which is
I recall running across that.
I could believe that.
And it's the story. It is another Yuri story, and it's about yes, lesbian love stories. Yay! Basically, it's about 12 assassins who are sent to an all-girls school, and their job is to kill one of the students, except for the fact that one of them, one of the 12 assassins, falls in love with the girl and decides to protect her instead. And that's the plot.
This is one of the ones that I am going to be picking up, but I'm not necessarily looking forward to it as one of my top 3.
So that's one. So I don't know. I don't know how it's going to be. I just kind of think that's a fun plot. So
yeah.
From what I've read around, it seems to be follow this sort of survival theme, i.e., like Danganronpa, Mirai Nikki sort of type animes. So, I mean, personally, I didn't think those two were that good, but hopefully you'll change it around. I'll be watching it though.
Well, you're watching my least favorite death game stuff I've personally seen. I've seen death games done very well. 999, Virtue's Last Reward, which are both visual novels. But I'm kind of interested because it's death game. I've always liked those, but the fact that it's Yuri is not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But you still
it'll be something. We'll see.
Yeah, we don't know. Like it may be Yuri, but it might be Yuri like Revolutionary Girl Utena Yuri. You know. Because that's a little different than Sakura Trick style Yuri. Let's be serious.
I was going to bring up something more benign, but yeah.
Okay. But the other one I'm looking forward to is called No Game, No Life.
Yes.
Which I just the concept seems interesting enough. It's about a boy and a girl who are both basically unemployed slackers. They're called NEETs.
NEETs, yeah.
Yes.
So they're basically slackers. They don't really have jobs, but they're really good at games of all sorts. Not just board games, not just video games, not just classic games like chess. They're good at all of them. So much so that they're kind of an internet sensation. Yeah, they're kind of like mythic figures. And then one day they're kind of transported into a fantasy world, and they're
I'm sold.
Yeah, and they're they have to put their game skills to the test in this game world, or in this not game world, in this strange fantasy world. I honestly don't know if they're if it's game related like the world is or anything, but I think
as I recall, I looked over this one briefly. Basically, the world that they go to is based on games. Like the balance of power of the world is decided by games.
Yeah, but it's not a video game world like say Sword Art or Log Horizon. It's
nothing like that.
It's like all of our politics are around games.
Yes.
It actually sounds a lot like, I think it was called Problem Kids Are Coming from Another World.
Oh, that's what I mentioned that. Yeah, Mondachi.
Monday Jitachi.
Yeah.
Monday Jitachi ga Isekai kara kuru desu yo.
That's the show, yeah. It's
it sounds a lot like that one show.
Yeah. So I don't have fond memories of that show, but hopefully I'm a gullible person. I think it'll be different because that's why it's a different anime altogether. So I don't see why it shouldn't. So I'll be keeping my eye out for that one as well.
Yeah, no, this is one of these where it's just like it looks like it could be fun. It could be total schlock, but I think that's something we could say about all of these. We just don't know. It's just what catches our interest. And the last one that I really am looking forward to is a short form anime called Insufficient Direction, and it's based on a manga, and it's the story, like the day-to-day normal home life of Ano, the creator of Evangelion.
Oh right, I remember this.
So yeah, it's just his day-to-day life with his wife and kid. Like,
so a web series, isn't it?
Is it? Yeah. It's on Nico Nico, right?
Yeah. Okay,
yeah. Flash.
It took me.
It's in Flash format.
But yeah, so
it took me a while to uncover that one. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, it's just there you go. If you wanted to know more like about the guy who made Evangelion, there you go.
It's quite a good story actually. How he actually got the funding and how big it got actually, because it was quite a I guess a gamble of a project, wasn't it? I think when he first pitched the idea.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Well, yeah. It was originally pitched as a more traditional mecha show, and it quickly evolved or devolved depending on how you look at it.
But yeah, it's I remember, like I said, I remember it being quite a good story actually in itself about how the Evangelion was made. But since
just about his whole daily life.
Yeah. Since Kevin is last, I guess that puts me next for batting. So
go for it, Ken.
My top, what I'm looking forward to anyway for next season, a really late announcement was M3 Sono Kuroki Hagane.
Another one that I'll be watching. Continue.
Yeah, it seems very fun. It seems really interesting. Sci-fi drama? Another good sci-fi.
Not to mention
that isn't always. Yeah. That's what I say. That isn't always a mech. God, please.
No, it is a mech.
Is it?
Allegedly, I haven't seen any promotional material, but it is listed as one.
Is this the one with the golem?
M3.
M3 Sono.
Oh, is it a mech one? I didn't know.
No, I don't.
Satellite.
Yeah, satellite. I
call it satellite. I don't know.
It's the one. It's the one where they send high school kids to areas and then they like battle like aliens, I think, or like
something like that.
Foreign beings. Yeah, I mean,
it was a late arrival, so we haven't heard much about it.
But no, I think the staff is actually pretty good. I think Kadamari is also affiliated with the show as well somehow. So it's again. It's got I think Satellite's animation is always solid, so you can get something good.
Yep.
And the premise is really interesting, so that alone I think is good enough.
Going back to Macross Frontier and all of that, yeah, they did all of that.
Yay.
And Nobunaga the Fool, now that I think about it, but we aren't talking about that this time.
No. What else you got, Ken?
For my second series, now. There's a lot of shows, but I think after being a big Slice of Life fan, I'm going Soul Eater Not. It's a universe that I really enjoyed, and it's going to be done in a different way. It's in a different spin. It's in a different light. I think it's going to be great. It's about the students before setting Soul Eater, and it's about them on I believe. If I can remember correctly, it's about how I think they go to academy to just how to. It's about the stories of weapons rather than the master of the weapons and how to become a normal weapon, which sounds like it's going to be a great bunch of fun. And you can't go wrong with Bones. Can't go wrong with Bones. I think.
Almost can't.
You can.
It happened. It happened early in my anime marathon. It happened. Eureka 7 AO. Let's move on. Let's move on.
And your last one.
My last one. Now, being a big sports fan as I am, there's so much to pick from this season. But I think let's go for a sport that isn't being too popular, but it's really unpopular everywhere else, it seems. Volleyball. The volleyball anime, which is Haikyuu, I think. I think I butchered that word.
Sure.
But yeah, it's just...
Volleyball.
Production IG, just people playing volleyball. I mean...
Yeah. Shonen Jump.
Volleyball action. Yeah. Can't go wrong.
Two rivals who in their middle school rivals, but they end up at the same school and on the same team.
Yeah.
And kind of hate each other, but work well together.
Sounds entertaining. Maybe I'll pick it up.
Yeah. I mean, I know what I'm getting into. It's going to be, quite a straightforward format, and I think I'm going to enjoy it because I enjoy the sport, and I'm sure I'm enjoying what's going to happen.
Yay.
So they are my three. So Kevin, now that all of us have gone.
Okay, I will explain. Let me first explain why I asked to go last. I don't like picking up anime based on premise. I mean, I've been burned several times by that. I mean, Capellion was just horrible.
Oh God, wasn't it though?
I was really interested in the present.
I hated the same thing. I was so excited. So excited.
Somehow, yeah.
And so generally what I do is I pick up shows late. I prefer marathoning. If you haven't picked that up from the lack of shows I've actually seen, there's a whole 30-minute segment where I didn't say a single word. So so I pick up anime late. So there's only a few shows that I'm going to pick up immediately. Already mentioned is Menkaku City Actors, mainly because it's done by Shaft. And I really enjoyed Welcome to NHK, which is another Hikikomori thing. Anything that had Hikikomori involved, I've never been burned by, and I actually really like. And I really think this is going to be a great one. And the other one I'm interested in is Hana Monogatari, because Monogatari has just been great.
Yep.
Pretty much what I do is I wait for these guys to write their top 5 of the season, and then I pick from those.
Boom. I started that craze. Well, technically Richard did. Yeah.
I was like, really? You did? Are you sure?
Careful what we say here.
You want to take credit for it? Okay.
When the fall thing came around, no one on Tay was doing it. And then people did it over the winter.
Yeah. That's a good enough thing. It's good to have wide opinions.
Yes.
Yeah, because everybody has differences.
The Tay craze started with me, but you started me.
Yes, there we go.
It's all hail to Richard.
Yeah. Circle of life. Circle of life. But this for this season, though, I mean, my overall impression is really good. I mean, we've got a lot of bones and brain-based anime. I think, quite strangely enough, Madhouse and Production IG got 2 each, I think, if I got my maths right. Seems quite good, and there's definitely series out there that maybe we haven't mentioned, but there are definitely a lot of watch out series there. I mean, I think we've covered most. I mean, especially the big series like Mushishi, obviously. As well, that's going to definitely be a lot of pickups. But yeah, it's definitely going to be out there.
And there's another season of JoJo too, so
yeah,
and
it's the season everybody loves. It's very odd. Like, I'm probably one of the only people who really likes the second arc a lot better than the third. That, and I like the 8th arc, but we're never getting an anime of the 8th arc. So with Jolene, the only girl.
Getting an anime problem.
I might not watch the anime, but the characters are definitely fabulous. I mean, they're fabulous on 11. It's insane.
Yeah.
And hey, we even got Dragon Ball Kai. No, is it? I think it's Kai. Is it?
It's the Boo. The Boo version of Kai.
Oh yeah, Boo version. Yeah. So yeah, that's getting remastered. So hey, there's always the old fan favorite. It's a good season, but like Kevin said earlier, there's a lot of series that we might be looking at the premise and then we watch it and then we get burned and get disappointed a lot. I think it's happened to all of us, right?
It's guaranteed. It's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, maybe because of us, maybe how we hope
because we have poor taste or bad gut instinct. Yeah, or we're gonna get burned somehow every season.
Well, that you can, it could be a good premise, but that doesn't mean much It's the
yeah. I mean, it doesn't even have to be next season. It could be a friend telling you, like, overselling a show. And there's so many reasons why we could get so disappointed about a show, and I know we've all experienced it. I mean, David, what are the most ones that you remember the most
from this last season?
From any
season.
time, anyway.
From just this last season, I have a show that I've been all over the place on. Oh, Magical Warfare. What? That show, it just
it's pretty.
It wasn't it's not like hype slash or that. It's just disappointment. Gross disappointment. The show couldn't figure out what it was trying to be. I mean, you had episodes where it was trying to come off as like a romance triangle something. You had episodes where there was full-on action. And then you had episodes where a bunch of stuff just happened and I went, huh? Case in point, the final episode.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. Oh, excited.
In any case, yeah, that's my most recent disappointment. But
it's really for watching a show like that, really. It's our own fault. I mean,
it was supposed to be Magical Warfare.
You're watching the wrong show, my friend.
Oh.
You should be watching Magi. That's what you should really be watching. That's Magical Warfare. Just saying. Just saying.
But yeah, that's my disappointment of recent memory. That was a mess. Hype backlash. Hype backlash being when people hype up a show really, really badly, and then it just doesn't quite meet up to my expectations. I've got to say that Attack on Titan fits that one to a T for me.
One of the high-profile animes.
My God, you'd think that it was made of gold and the characters were amazing and everything for that show, but when it comes right on down to it, especially as of late, I've been just looking back on it with disdain in a lot of ways. I'm just going to go off on a tangent really quick here because this will explain why as of recently it's been a problem. I played through the Move Love visual novel series just recently, and the Attack on Titan was partially inspired by that visual novel series.
So when I better,
yeah, the premise, I love the visual novel to death. That series now, I love it to death. So it seems like. I'm going to catch flack for this. It seems like Attack on Titan's like a bastardization of the concept in a lot of ways.
Oh,
I'm going to catch a lot of flack for that one.
Yep. Yeah, you will.
Let's just hope not enough people heard that, yeah?
Now, it's a good show if you haven't played that visual novel series, but if you're going to play it, you have to go into it realizing that it's just better at doing it in a lot of ways. So, I mean... Yeah, Attack on Titan, it fits the hype backlash to a T with me, especially as of late. And I'm just going to leave with that because I've already generated enough controversy. Someone else.
Angel Beats. I hate Angel Beats so much, and it gets so much love in the community. I hate Angel Beats. It's like one of my best friends hyped it so much. He's like, this is like the best anime ever. Like, okay, so I came in, and it's made by Key. So that's a brilliant plus for me. And I was expecting Clannad feels. And then what I got was the most boring main cast I've ever seen. And I hate Angel Beats. It could, if it had 2 times the amount of episodes, it would have been brilliant. But it was horrible.
Quite possibly, yeah.
It was just horrible. And yeah, Angel Beats.
I
still don't know why that's popular at all. I just don't understand.
I enjoyed it, but I see where you're coming from. Absolutely.
I mean, not to call you out, you said it was made by Key. I think it's a light novel originally, and it's made by PA Works.
Yes.
No, it was made by PA Works, but it was written by Key.
No, it was.
Oh, I see where you're coming from.
It was actually graded by Jun Maeda, that it's one of the big people at Key, but he was the only one involved out of the Key people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway. Well, that shows me, right? Any others that would spring to mind after Angel Beats, or is that the only one that hurts you the most?
Gets Ghost in the Shell. I know it's good. I couldn't get into it. And
what was that? Was those whispers of burn the heretic? What I heard. I think that's what I heard.
I mean, as I said, did anyone hear that, or was that just,
No.
I never said it was bad.
I never said it was
bad. Go ahead.
No, absolutely. And I mean, I assume you're meaning Standalone Complex.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second season of Standalone Complex isn't that good. Sorry. It's okay. It's worth watching. The first season's much, much better, but the second season, it really falls apart with its overall plot. I
just couldn't get into either. I mean, I didn't dislike it. I just couldn't get into it. And originally Haruhi, but then after rewatching it several times, I do enjoy it. But originally, I really disliked Haruhi.
That's
high-profile animes. High-profile animes. I think let's follow the theme of high profile. I was sorely disappointed with Sword Art Online. I mean, granted, the first arc actually was actually okay. I think it was above par in my opinion.
Agreed.
But that second arc, it butchered me.
Double agreed.
No, that's my pick too. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but I still get crap. Almost every article I write, I get crap for saying that Sword Art Online was a really smart anime. But it was. Because I thought the first half.
That was.
I can just imagine it. Yes.
But that's the thing is it's the first half. That's when I said that, and the second half I said it wasn't as good because it's not.
Yep.
You're absolutely right. But that's the thing. Like, I don't know. There were things that I really could have liked in the second half of Sword Art Online, but the absolute destruction of Asuna as a character never set right.
Yeah, looking back, yes, definitely.
That's why, I'm actually rather hopeful for the next season of Sword Art, because we all know it's Gun Gale Online.
Yes.
But the question is, if they have 26 episodes, are they also going to do Asuna's story as well? Because she has a whole book that's just her adventures. Like, Kirito's not even in it. And don't get me wrong, it's not the most epic story at all, but it's actually a pretty good, almost slice of life story about Asuna. It's really good.
What was that book called?
No, it's Sword Art Online Volume 6.
I think
it's
George
Mother's Rosario or Rosario. I don't have the idea. How do you pronounce that?
You're right. No, it's Mother's Rosario. Yeah.
I've heard from people that's apparently one of the better ones.
It's interesting because it's very much a side story that's only about Asuna, but it kind of deals with like how they have to deal with like real world life after Sword Art Online. That's what it's about.
And that's what I wanted to see. So.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, Gun Gale's a lot of fun too. Like, it's good action. It's a fun, cool game. Kirito's way overpowered still, so it's a lot of fun. He has a lightsaber.
So Gary Stu, when has he ever done? When is he? Wait, in Gun Gale, the game about
he gets a lightsaber. It's fantastic.
He cuts the bullets with a sword.
Yeah. So he's dual wielding a submachine gun and a lightsaber. It's kind of awesome like that.
Wait, he's not the only.
Is that not awesome?
I'll probably.
Don't get me wrong. Like, the good thing is that even with his like Sword Art Online skills, he is not as good as the best players of that game. Yes. Obviously. Yeah. It just turns out though that he has a really good defense because he has a fucking lightsaber.
I still don't get that. Why does he have a lightsaber in a gun game?
No, and that's the joke. Like, it's a joke weapon in the game. Like, no one uses it because it's such a piece of crap. And he's like, sword! All about swords!
Oh, man.
But no, I think absolutely, that would be my letdown as well, was the second half of Sword Art.
The worst part is, what ticks me off the most is that it's got such good sale volumes. Oh my lord, it sells like gold over there, man. They think it's engagement rings over. It sells so well. I'm just.
Well, the new one, or the actual really long arc, that's all leading up to Excel World, the Alicization story arc, that's still ongoing one. It's like 6 books long at this point. I've not read it, but it is supposed to be fantastic. Like, as good, if not better, than the first arc.
Huh.
And,
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still sour.
It is good, but it drags a lot. It's quite large, and it really drags a lot. But it's quite interesting. If the pacing were better, probably it will be the best arc in the series.
Leading up to Excel World. Oh yeah.
So that's a series that left me sour as well, but I wasn't hyped up for that. I just let myself down for watching it.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I was with Magical Warfare, so we've already touched on that.
Yeah.
Letdowns. Big letdown? Oh, I got one. Nisei Monogatari.
Ooh, you did not.
Nisei Monogatari.
Actually, no. Actually, now I think about it, I agree. That series just went downhill like really quickly.
Like I enjoyed Nisei Monogatari more. I did Bake Monogatari.
I like Bake. I like Neko.
I can't chime in on this one.
I like a lot of second season, but Nisei Monogatari was the point at which they just went, oh yeah, you know how we were making fun of fan service? Well, we've changed our mind. We're just going to be all about it. Here, now watch as the main character gives his sister an orgasm while brushing her teeth. Is it going to be a 5-minute Hold on.
I think I've been spoiled.
I enjoyed that. I was laughing so hard.
It was
oh
funny,
my god, what are they?
But it was funny because of the utter shock that anyone would ever think it was a good enough idea to put that on film.
Yeah, probably.
Refuge in audacity. It is a TV trope.
Now, don't get me wrong. Like I said, other ones I like a lot. The other stories are really good, but those two, I was just like, oh, come on.
I feel like the second season definitely redeemed it because I noticed that the fan service in actually every episode almost seemed to be increasing as we went along. I was just thinking to myself, this series used to be so good. I loved the dialogue in this. It was so witty and funny. What's happened? Why is she naked? I don't understand this anymore. And it's like, why are you dressed like that? Your character's meant to be a vampire. Oh, never mind. And like you said, I think the second season was really good, and I thought it redeemed itself astoundingly well. Since it was based on the two characters, my favorite character is the one who sadly.
Suck it.
I know.
Yeah. He was such a great character.
Anything else? Anybody else got some good ones?
Yeah, George. I think you
George hasn't really chimed in yet.
Yeah, come on, George. What hurt you?
Not very recently, but probably the most recent was Eureka 7 AO.
Yeah. I mentioned that one earlier.
I love that. Probably the first series is one of my favorites of all time. And I even really like the first two games. The games are really horrible, but even then, the second season managed to be even worse than those two games.
Eureka 7 AO was a special kind of mess.
Yeah,
it was a case study in how you don't use time travel ever.
Am I right in thinking that's the show with the mechs that use skateboards?
In space,
essentially, and that was one of the problems. That was one of the problems with AO.
I don't get that still. Why does he have a skateboard on a mech?
They're like surfing on particles and whatnot. It doesn't matter. But the point is, that was one of many reasons that AO stopped making sense. They used to surf on the particles, and in AO, one of the things that they did was they could just stop in place. Magically.
Yeah.
It was a mess. It really was.
When you know what? Look after your sci-fi.
We actually all left off the most overhyped show of the season.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Soccer trick, right? We're talking about soccer trick, right?
No, of course, and I've gotten so much flack for this, but Space Dandy.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people don't know this, but we've pretty much all agreed, all of us amongst here, that he's right.
And none of us have watched it either, so.
Well, I've watched it.
I've watched it, but I dropped it almost immediately.
Yeah, I gave it like 6 episodes. And I realized I've wasted 6 episodes, and I was like, gotta
go
home.
I mean, we're just tired of it. I am at least.
And it already got announced season 2. It's just, I don't know.
It was one of those things. It was basically designed in a lot of ways to cater to the West. At least that's what the feeling I got from it. And that's wrong. If I want the West, I'll watch TV here.
But then, see, that's the funny thing, is there's one other anime that was very much obviously aimed at the West that I really enjoyed. And that's Panty and Stocking.
Oh, I haven't seen that one, actually.
Really? You're missing out. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot of the Studio Trigger and Dynax guys. It's good.
Yeah, I was going to say, Skynex maybe at its height still. So.
Yeah.
But, yeah. But yeah, Space Dandy. We're not keen on Space Dandy.
It was seriously hyped, and I definitely have to agree with Richard's article. He had the guts to come out and say what a lot of us were thinking.
Kudos to you. You're brave enough to take the.
Yeah.
It's
terrible. Oh, I hate it when I run into those where like either that or Watamote where everybody seemed to like it except for me, and I have to be like.
I hated Watamote also.
Yeah, it was that was.
And don't get me wrong, it's okay if you like it. I understand why people like it. Like, don't get me wrong. And actually, that was the funny thing. The Space Dandy quotes were a lot of hate, comments were a lot of hate at me. But for Watamote, it was kind of interesting that a good maybe 80% of the comments were like, "This is what I love about it," is what people were saying. And now that's constructive. That's a great argument. That lets me know where you're coming from. And while I may not be able to see it that way, I'm perfectly capable of understanding that you do and why you like it. And that's great.
If you just pile on the hate, then you're only reinforcing the argument, really, to the people who are just coming in to look. I mean, if I walked into Richard's article and went down to the comments to see what people are saying, and I see people attacking him, it's not going to make me want to watch Space Dandy, so stop doing that.
Yeah, it's quite ridiculous. But Watamote is such a unique show because it's actually almost the, like, apart from, Free, it's almost the fan anime because, was it like the internet? Was it 2chan or 4chan? I can't remember which one of the two. They loved it so much that they actually got enough hype and not hype, notice from the big guys upstairs that they make an anime out of it. I think that's just a really great story, and the fans are really endearing about the manga, so it's quite nice. And I can see the fans of Watamote, instead of just giving you shit,
right?
They actually constructively do say they enjoy the show because of this.
Yeah, and that's nice. Great. That's absolutely great. If you can do that, then I feel like I've done my job, honestly. I don't really care if people agree with me, but if they can state why they feel the way they feel, then I feel like it's great. We've had a good discussion. Yeah, but yeah, sorry. There we go. There's our side. But yeah, Space Dandy, Mode, those I felt were overhyped. For various reasons, but. Yeah, hype is a bitch.
And let me piss.
It's a good thing. Sorry, Kevin.
Let me piss everybody off by saying everything Ganu Uebuchi made, everything, like everything I've seen that he made, I was disappointed in some form of fashion, with one exception, Sayano Uta. Really.
Everything. So you're talking Psycho-Pass, Madoka.
Yeah, I was gonna say Psycho-Pass. Yeah,
Gargantua on the Verdness Planet, the new Kamen Rider.
Yeah.
All of them.
I mean, they're all good. I just didn't enjoy any of them.
So. I see.
I see what you mean. Sure.
Yeah. All right. For a moment, we thought you were just giving fire, starting a fire for no reason.
Oh, no. I mean, sure. I can understand, like, if you don't want that kind of dark twist, then yeah.
Except, what the thing is, it killed me with Fate Zero because I enjoyed how they did it in Fate Stay Night. I really loved the dark plot twist in the visual novel. But then Fate Zero is just like, it's so detached, I felt, from everything. And it's like, I couldn't get into any of them. I mean, Madoka Magica was hyped up, well, insanely. And when I watched it, I'm like, It's like, Yeah.
You know that feeling.
After this podcast episode comes out, I'm going to hide in a corner
for a couple weeks.
Oh, please! I'm the one who's gonna have to do that.
All right.
But hey, hey, you know, at least you know why you don't enjoy it, but you do acknowledge they are obviously what seems to be good from other people's point of view.
Yeah.
They are very good series. I have to I mean, even I was a little shocked for a moment for how you stated that.
All right.
But
So anything else? We're running a little long, but
let's look at the time, guys.
2 hours.
We're way over 2 hours.
Technically.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway. Any shout-outs? Any shout-outs from you guys? Then let's wrap it up.
Oh, how about feel free to say where you can be reached and where you can be found and what your screen name is and stuff like that. Give yourself a little PR.
Yeah. No harm in that. There's a reason why you guys are here, because we've got nothing better. We're that sort of podcast. No one wants to give a shout out?
I'll do it.
I'll
always do it. Are you kidding? No.
Yeah, Richard loves a bit of PR.
Of course I love PR. No. Yes, you can follow me at Kotaku. My articles usually go up every Tuesday and Friday. Anime reviews or other gaming news and stuff like that. You can follow me on Twitter at Biggest in Japan, because I am the one man alive arrogant enough to take the title.
Ken?
Me? Well, I don't really do much. So instead, we'll give a shout out to a very faithful member who was almost here, Coda 59. Oh, I've actually forgotten his number.
I think
thank you.
89.
Maybe 90. 89? Yeah, maybe.
89.
89.
Let's go 89. We're sorry we butchered your username, but thank you, Coda. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have Richard here, I guess. That's what I'm saying.
What a way to put it, man.
So, thank you, Coda. We're looking out for you.
Hopefully the next time you'll be in it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. If he's there next time, I'll be like,
He did contact me at one point. So.
Did he?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
So maybe we'll bring him on next time.
What is done is done. Anyway.
That guy's fruity. He sometimes puts out anime stuff. Have fun with that.
Don't worry about me. What about you, David?
Me? I'm Dexomega. I'm not going to try to spell that for you. Just go with it. You can catch me on my blog, of course. I do anime stuff, reviews. Sometimes, more as of late, I've been doing some more games, visual novels, that sort of deal. Maybe I'll do more of that. In any case, come drop by. Yeah. That's all I've
got. Kevin?
Rockman-12. I'm also on Tay. I really want you guys to check out my YouTube channel, because I started out there before I did all the Tay stuff. Huh? Most of my stuff I brung over, but yeah.
You have to give me a link then, so I can put it in the article later.
Yeah, all that.
I've done video reviews of some stuff, but primarily I do visual novel reviews because nobody does those. Ever. And I've gotten people to start
We don't know what that was. Richard.
Where'd that come from?
Okay, hold on a second. You haven't reviewed Move Love.
No, I have not.
We're moving on.
Sorry. No, I've actually seen that's what I'll be spending the rest of the day on. Anyway, continue.
I was really happy to see a visual novel review by Richard the Sanda Utaman. That really just pushed me over the edge to start doing visual novel reviews. But
No.
And I just do reviews of anime, visual novels every now and then a game. But yeah, reviews.
It's good to hear.
Very good.
And from our special guest for this week, George. Any quick shout-outs?
Well, thanks for having me in the show.
We love you here.
It's been a pleasure to be with all you guys, and I'm hoping to be back soon.
So do I.
At least I'll hope to be contributing to the open topic and stuff like that. You can also reach me on Tay. I'll go by Aestevalis. It's probably more difficult to spell than Dexomega. I'm not gonna bother to. I write also anime stuff and some things about the Persona series and the Tales of series. So yeah, thanks for having me, and it's been a pleasure.
It's a pleasure having you around. I mean, hopefully we have you soon again.
Yep. It's a pleasure having you.
And
thanks for coming.
Yeah, it's our first time together, guys. It's our first podcast done. Yeah, look at that. Done the first one.
So yeah, to everybody watching, thanks for watching and staying with us for over 2 hours.
Oh, this is going to be a bitch tent, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
Have fun. All right.
Have fun.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next month, right? Look at that.
All right, see you.
Maybe we'll have higher production values then, or
Bye,
something.
all you people.
Maybe we'll have adverts. Wouldn't it be great to have adverts? Right.
The Gawker networks might have a problem with that, but let's go ahead and move on.
Maybe audiobook will come by our way. Anyway, thanks for watching and listening, even because they're not watching. Don't be silly. Thanks for listening. See you until next time.
Bye.
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 Bye.